Are we fired up and ready to go? There we are. Okay, welcome in, chat. Welcome in, AO. It's Tuesday night here on the REMINGTOM pod. We've got the NBA on in the background. And do we have to talk about the fact that Trae Young has more ejections than games played for the Wizards at this point? Hey, yo, it is what it is. Apparently, he's getting thrown out over there on the sidelines. We don't know what's going on, but shout out. We wait for the days that it's going to be Trae Young and Anthony Davis. How many games? Will it be more? I guess we assume that Trae Young will eventually play more games than ejections at some point for Washington, though he could get traded in the offseason. I guess that is a possibility. Could they trade? Is there a timeline, like, is there like a 6-month window that they have Trae Young at this point that they just have to keep him through their offseason, like September or October, before they're able to actually officially make a move? But that would be interesting because, of course, we get the classic trade deadline moves sometimes where, of course, Carmelo had the iconic one where he was on Atlanta for maybe just a couple of days. I mean, sometimes, you'll get traded multiple times in the same deadline, But, yeah, sometimes as well, too, maybe within that week or something. But, yeah, if he's able to just, I guess be on the bench for the entire second half of the year and just never play a game, and then they trade him for like 2 first-round picks in the offseason. That's what they gave up for Davis. So I guess, if they got 2 first-round, where was the 2 first-round pick move for Atlanta? They'd be asking, we have to look at the protections and, see what's going on there. But will it be? We assume that one gets more. But will there be more Trae Young and Anthony Davis games together? That'll be the interesting one. Oh man, they also, speaking of 2 first-round picks, they did give up some first-round picks for Davis, so that would, I guess, make us think that they would want to keep him through the offseason, as they would at least want to see what happens. And I guess of the 2 guys, again, Trae Young might actually be the more reliable and the better player, though that might not be totally fair as well, too. Again, they are tanking for the rest of this year as well. But regardless, even if Trae Young is like, I don't know, we could find some numbers case for him over the last couple of years, I still think that Davis would be the one that you'd probably want to try to keep around. And just because it seems like he would be a good, a good player next to Sarr as well, too. And they do have some backcourt guys, I don't know, is Trae Young versus Trey Johnson, the battle of the Trays, of course, could be interesting. But we do also have San Antonio on in the background as well, too. They're playing Philly right now. NBC's got a little bit of a throwback night. Throwback night in the NBA. James Harden's good, and Philly's got the old graphics going again. It is what it is. But I guess NBC has the old graphics. Philly and the throwback uniforms. The Philly throwbacks, I didn't expect. And the Cavs, we do also have the Cavs on. Speaking of, they don't necessarily have the throwbacks on right now, but the Cavs, the LeBron era throwbacks are pretty cool as well, too. Hot take. But the Philly ones, the Iverson throwbacks, I mean, we've, again, obviously always known about the jersey, and they've never actually brought them back as a throwback. But, again, you see like the Iverson highlights, and it's, even more so like Iverson images as well, too. And, the jersey itself is still like prevalent in a way because of that. And, a lot of the iconic franchises kind of have a same, sort of colorway jersey scheme going for the entire thing. Philly is kind of the one that has switched up the most, or maybe it was just that, they just happened to have one of their most iconic franchise players, for that era. Can't forget about Dr. J as well, too. But even those jerseys are a little bit different than what they're rocking now, because they were like rocking more, I think, red jerseys back then, and now, of course, it's more the blue and the white. But yeah, that era, I for some reason, to me, it's the best throwback in the league. Maybe it's just the contrast as well, too, like we're saying, because they're obviously the black jerseys that the logos and stuff are set on. Again, they're really like mainly a red, white, and blue color scheme a lot of the time. So there is just a real mix-up there for, just, again, the aesthetic of the team. Because I guess, and then San Antonio as well, too, would be the other one that does get, like, a pretty dramatic change. When they go to the Fiesta colorways, they don't even have colors at all when we're just on our normal sort of team vibe as well, too. We just got the silver, the chrome, and, that's basically the one sort of unique color in the whole scheme is the silver there. But yeah, obviously the Spurs Fiestas is pretty cool. But Yeah, you go, of course, like Celtics and Lakers and stuff. Like you look at images of Bird and Magic and Russell, and it's why those guys, it's why those jerseys and those franchises in some ways are so iconic as well too. But for the Lakers, you got to go back to Mikan. Hey, yo, if anybody, who's the newest basketball fan to have seen a picture of George Mikan? Is there anybody, under 20? I guess there's got to be somebody under 20. Is there a single digit? Do we have to ask MJ? I don't know. Is there a single digit basketball fan that has? There's just no way. I can't imagine. But maybe there is one. Maybe there is one that has like a like a super, I don't know, George Mikan super fan dad or a grandparent or something. Who knows? But because even still, like Bill, like people know who Bill Russell is. People know who, I would say, Bob Cousy, Jerry West. Still, obviously, Jerry West had, of course, a run as a executive there for a long time. So his name was, just as a basketball fan, he was still impacting the game at a very, very high level. But and Bill Russell as well too, of course, as an activist and just as a personality was, again, a huge figure in the NBA for a long time. But yeah, I wonder what the generation is gonna be like. Like what is the memory timeline right now for NBA fans? And it is, of course, do we say guy specific as well too? Of course, the biggest stars of the day are going to be remembered. I think Wilt low key is, he's arguably a top 12, 15, what is even the list at this point? Again, with guys like Steph and Durant and Jokic and, Wemby already, I don't know, but, some of these newer names as well too, you have to account for them. But, Wilt, of course, is arguably like we're saying, like a top 15 guy of all time. So I feel like in some ways, his fame level as a player is kind of equal to his all-time ranking in a sense. But he does seem like one where, people I still see, we get clips and stuff in the algorithm of people like reacting to Wilt Chamberlain highlights. I mean, I guess it's probably the 100-point game, to be honest. And I guess Russell does have the 11 championships. So the record holders, like Mikan doesn't have any records. Hey, yo, we need records. Or maybe some 2K as well, too. But I don't think Wilt's like a big, pause, I don't think Wilt's like a factor in 2K, but I think he might be, though. I could be wrong. As I'm saying that, I'm remembering times of now playing 2K where maybe not with like Wilt Chamberlain in an actual game with the team, but when, of course, you go to the pickup games in the park, and then you can just pick whatever players you want, running fives in the pickups, which is, maybe the most fun as well, too. If you're going to play, if you've got two people playing 2K and you're going to play a pickup game, or I should say like a quick game or a pickup game, you got to play a pickup game. Way more fun. But, yeah, maybe I do remember Wilt being pretty devastating in that. And, we were running on the park a lot. We'd run a lot of twos as well, too, back in the 2K playing days. I mean, a lot of threes. Do we have to say pause? Hey, yo, whoa. We have to say pause. But a lot of threes. What are we talking about? 3-on-3, 5-on-5, 2-on-2? Just really every combo, chat. Hey, yo, it is what it is. College was a crazy time, but 2K was off the charts. It is what it is. But, yeah, again, maybe the records probably do help. I mean, Wilt also has, incredible numbers. Speaking of two, man, Wilt's got incredible numbers in some other ways as well. But, because Dr. J is one that is a little, of course, underrated, I think, for the times. But, obviously he is after that. Wilt might be more famous than Dr. J. I don't know if that's a hot take. But I think right now, in the Instagram era, in the Instagram Reels, again, maybe it's just our algorithm. I don't know. You watch one Wilt highlight, and then you just get all the Wilt highlights, I guess. But, again, there is that fascination with trying to find the footage for the 100-point game as well, too. You just don't see, like, the Dr. J highlights and the Dr. J. You don't see the Dr. J free throw line dunk even being brought up, really. And you don't even really see it being brought up. To be honest, like, you don't really even see Dr. J highlights being brought up in the dunk contest in general. They should just be playing those every time, just because. There should just be, like, a montage of all the great... like dunk contest moments like that. I don't know, but of course he is like the one of the legendary early I guess, we're saying early phase of the league, yeah, we're in, going back to Russell and Wilt, but of course, at the time of the merger as well too. And, it's just one of the next, I guess the better way to say it, if you're doing the timeline of the faces of, or hey, what are we saying? We're still thinking of I guess the Wilt numbers, but if you're thinking about the timeline of the iconic faces of the league, like of course you do have to consider Dr. J into that timeline, and we're arguing right now about who the face of the league is. Again, there wouldn't necessarily even be a name that would stand. I mean, of course. Obviously, we could be biased and say that, of course, and not even just us, but, obviously it looks like, guys like Wemby, but even, there's obviously guys in the competition. You could look back over the last handful of years and say, of course, that like, again, from a basketball player's talent standpoint, it was definitely in some ways Jokic's league in a sense, but again, he only won one title, and Dr. J, I think he only got one. Again, I guess, how do you phrase it? He did win a title in the NBA, and it also, of course, his time at when he actually got to the NBA versus the ABA. But still, I guess he did play quite a bit. 26, it's not like he got, I guess like Staubach, getting into the league when he's like 30. But he won an MVP. He won most of his MVPs, of course, in the ABA, I guess, but won one MVP in 80-81, and then 1983 NBA champ. But 7-time All NBA. Again, speaking of scoring, like a real top scoring guy. But I would say that Wilt, of course, would be, and again, I think that he would probably rank a little bit higher on the all-time rankings, but still, and even Hakeem as well too. Like again, I think it's pretty close. Obviously, shout out to Charles Barkley. He is probably, you don't want to say an outlier, because he's still one of the greatest players of all time. But he is probably one of the 10 most famous NBA players, especially, again, if we're going like a current, and it's not necessarily a power ranking, but it's kind of like an all-time, like even if it is, in an all-time power ranking where we stand right now at this moment, like I still think that he is, probably like we're saying, one of the 10 most famous basketball players. I know you could, again, you could probably go through the list pretty quickly, like if you're naming those face of the league type players, of course. You can mention the Mount Rushmore of modern elite, name players with MJ, Kobe, LeBron, and Steph, but those four guys probably do have to be in that top 10 of all time anyways. So, again, that's half the list right there almost. It does start to add up pretty quickly, but I think once you do get past those four and Magic and Bird, maybe, like, I think that Charles Barkley is probably more famous than Kareem. I think for the previous generation, again, Kareem obviously, just a big basketball star, but again, even a larger than life off the court figure. And in some ways, again, you don't want the impact of those guys to be lost as well too. But I mean, regardless, the TNT run for Charles Barkley, it is what it is. Like, I think Charles Barkley is probably just more famous than Kareem, or popular fame. I guess am I mixing those up as well too? Like, are we looking at like Instagram followers in this case? I don't know, but and Shaq as well too, like maybe slightly higher. I guess it's Shaq. The Shaq versus Charles Barkley fame, competition. I guess shout out Shaq's got titles and career points, and he's got the fame, chat. Hey yo, I guess poor Charles Barkley. It is what it is, but. Would you say Durant versus Charles Barkley? I don't know. I would say that, maybe Barkley a little bit more famous. James Harden, is this, single season? I was like, James Harden's 10th in scoring? Hey, yo. That's how we knew we weren't looking at the right list. I'm trying to pull up the career points list. Yeah, Dr. J is number 9. All time if you go NBA and ABA points combined. Shaq is 12. And I guess James Harden is almost 10. He's 11 right now. Hey, yo. And he's got he's got 21 points. Looking at it going to pass Moses Malone. Hey, yo. So wait, what's he at tonight on the scorecard? Cleveland is winning against Detroit 84-77. Kind of an important little look at maybe the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Who knows? Obviously if those teams will end up even playing each other in the playoffs. But in terms of the hierarchy, it is interesting. he does have, let's see here if we can get a look at the box score. He's got 12 right now, 4 for 13 AO from the field. So I think Moses is probably one that is a little lower on the fame ranking than maybe he is on the, the all-time player ranking. Again, Melo 13th in career points. And, you start going are the modern guys more famous in some ways, just because of the, the popularity of the league as well. But Melo is a New York athlete, a New York athlete in college as well too. I know not necessarily like, New York City playing the, New York City school, but still like, played in New York for college, had one of the great March Madness runs, and then eventually went to play pro ball for New York as well too. So, again, he's probably not a top 10 famous player of all time, but he probably is a top 50 famous player. Like, is Melo more famous than Kevin McHale? Though McHale has been on TV and, been in the league as like an announcer, and he's been in front offices and coaches and stuff as well too. So he's been around. But I mean, Melo is, if does Kevin McHale have a pod? Like, it's probably not. I mean, Melo's got one of the top pods. Shout out, again, because he's a popular guy, and we're pro Melo here as well too. Dominique, Duncan. I mean, Duncan, I guess, is probably the poster child for the other way. Pause, where it's like maybe the fame ranking doesn't quite match the all-time ranking. Of course, top 10 player of all time. I think he is like actually kind of famous in terms of the fact that a lot of people know him. I mean, obviously a super, lengthy basketball career, one of the great players, and super beloved guy. Team USA, like Olympic runs. I guess Melo, speaking of Melo and Durant, them being, major Team USA guys does help as well too. And, obviously, it worked out that the other stars that we mentioned as the biggest stars in NBA history have also had those big Olympic moments. Steph did have his like historic Olympic moment in this last Olympics. It's like one of the greatest basketball, moments that we've ever had of him sort of helping capture that gold medal. And LeBron and Kobe and some of those guys, and the way they helped, Team USA bounce back from the tragedy of 04. AO. I guess Tim Duncan being an 04, does that not help? I don't know. It is what it is there. But Vince Carter is a good, fame ranking type guy. I guess Jerry West is the logo. So, you do have to give him respect there. Did we start this talking about Iverson? I don't know. I think maybe we were talking about how prevalent the jersey was. I guess we were talking about George Mikan, actually. How famous is George Mikan? Hal Greer? What is the cutoff for people knowing about like NBA legends? I guess that's a little bit different, but regardless, I guess we were saying like some of those top guys, pause. Some of those more famous guys from way back would be still known, but for the most part, it's even tough to say like would people know like a lot of the the B plus stars of the 2000s. I've been scrolling through looking like, Joe Johnson's name in here. I feel like Joe Johnson's still a name that a lot of basketball fans would know about, but I don't know. If you started watching basketball, obviously post Joe Johnson, are you like totally up to date on what's going on there? I guess Dwayne Wade seems pretty famous, but is he? Adrian Dantley, I mean, shout out Adrian Dantley from the Baseline. I mean, people, hopefully people haven't forgotten at this point. Paul Pierce. I mean, the media thing, it definitely does help. But I don't know. Maybe it really is only like, the small percentage of basketball fans that actually like go back and play. But I guess 2K does matter as well too, like we were saying, because T-Mac is an iconic 2K player in our 2K playing history. And again, obviously famous in his own right for his basketball skill. If you know about basketball, you probably know about T-Mac, but it probably helps if you have all these great memories attached to just, just like dominating your friends in 2K with him as the player, and just be like, okay, I'm going to drop 50 with anybody with Tracy McGrady. Like, I'm pretty sure you're going to know about him at that point. It is what it is. Like Sean Marion, do people just like know about Sean Marion? Like what is the cutoff? It might be like 12 years It might be if you haven't played, or if you haven't played in like seven years, then just don't expect basketball. There's like the couple of people don't expect like Paul George. Like, what's gonna be the Paul George conversation in a decade? Is it gonna have to be like hey who's this guy Paul George? Like, this Pacers team in 2K is kind of fun, and I guess what are gonna be the classic 2K teams as well too. I don't know, but I guess we'll have to do our part for keeping the names alive. We mentioned George Gervin a couple live streams, so we're gonna keep the Spurs legends alive. It is what it is. Iceman. It seems like Drake's dropping the album soon, so we're definitely gonna be mentioning George Gervin more. It is what it is. Like we said, I guess Drake, respectfully borrow the poster, borrow the picture of him on the of him on the ice throne. Hey yo. That's your winning move right there. That's the cover. That's the album cover. If we haven't said it already, that's the album cover. But yeah, shout out George Gervin, player of the day. If you haven't looked up George Gervin highlights, look up some George Gervin highlights, I guess. It is what it is there. But yeah, we do have, like we said, this Pistons Cavs game going into the fourth quarter here. Cavs up 9. And we were, of course, looking a little bit at the title picture, of course, after the All-Star break and kind of seeing where the league stood. And the Phil Jackson rule is something we were looking at, of the teams that have gotten to 40 wins before getting to 20 losses. But, of course, the Cavs, I guess, are a little bit of a unique exception to that, because they did make a trade at the trade deadline, like a pretty major trade, of course, and dealing away Garland, of course, but also bringing in James Harden. Hey yo, who's this guy? James Harden. Hey yo. So of course, adding him into the roster is going to be a totally different dynamic. The difficult part, of course, of projecting them out for the playoffs is, and I guess you can't say if it was any other player, but of course Harden does have very specific playoff storylines that are going to be attached to him as a player at this point. Because, again, in all honesty, and I know we were also looking, the East is, of course, maybe a little bit more susceptible. Who knows? Obviously, we'll just, it's just stats. We'll have to see what actually happens in the Western Conference this year. But, Boston was kind of right on the borderline of that 40-20. And if they get Tatum back for the playoffs, again, that's like a whole major thing that doesn't really include those types of stats. You just get this, 7th best player in the league, even if he's not returning as the 7th best player. Like, even if you just add and I guess it would seem crazy to seem like Tatum's like the 60th best player in the league, but if you just added like the 40th best player in the league to your team going into the playoffs, and especially if you quote unquote add him for free as well too, and obviously they're not adding Tatum for free, but for what it is this season, it's a little bit of that. Oh, Chad, I thought they had the throwback telestrator as well, too, on the game. But no, they're actually just looking at old highlights at this point. And I guess on the NBC, what do we say, Spurs Philly broadcast. It is what it is there. But, yeah, of course, again, I feel like, have to take this Cleveland team a little bit more seriously. But, again, the Harden thing is going to be difficult to judge in the playoffs. And Schroeder, you have to give Schroeder his props. Like, Schroeder has been a decent ad for him. He's been a really good third guard, I guess. I don't know if we know the exact minutes, but of course he is the guy that is the counter to James Harden in the lineup. When Harden's not in the lineup, it seems like Schroeder is running the team. And his defensive effort as well, too, has been a real just different look for the team that they haven't had at guard. Even, I guess, obviously Garland's a great offensive player. Even Craig Porter. The mic is dead. Oh, there we are. We're back. Okay, testing 1, 2. We started talking about how much we like Craig Porter, and for some reason the mic cuts out. I don't know. Is there a Craig Porter conspiracy out there? They thought we said Michael Porter? No, Craig Porter. Craig Porter, different Porter. But, yeah, shout out Craig Porter. But even still, you wouldn't necessarily call him a defensive stopper. Like, Schroeder, it'd be crazy to say he's their best defensive player they've had on the wing in the last couple of years. But, I don't know, we have to go back and check the roster. It feels like in the last couple of playoff series, it's like, has it been like Strus has been near the defender that they've relied on the most on the perimeter at this point? I don't know. So again, he's not necessarily going to guard forwards, but just as a non, they have Mobley and Allen obviously in the interior, so there is, hopefully they're a little bit set at that spot there. But just again, somebody not in the interior of the defense to cause mayhem, get some perimeter turnovers, maybe even, if that makes sense. But yeah, he might be their best option. Danny Green, year 13. Danny Green, I guess Sam Morrell over the last couple of years, you have to give him, I guess he can compete. And Mitchell definitely can be a good defender. It's not like he's just has those. It's not like unfortunately for Garland, there's just going to be those those on it. There's size matters. It is what it is. There's just those things you can't change about your game. So Mitchell, I guess, doesn't have to worry about that. Changing effort, I guess, is a little bit different. Seti Ajman, Okoro, of course, as a defender has, I don't know if he's like had some moments, but I guess has definitely had that, that posit 3-and-D label in the past. Niang just competing. Is he their best defender? But yeah, it might honestly be Strus from the perimeter at this point. Again, if we're not including Mitchell, I guess, at this point, which is not fair to his game as well too. And I didn't mention DeAndre Hunter because they didn't agree that he was, or they agreed, I guess, not to mention him either. AO, they parted ways there. But yeah, not going to be Karis LeVert, Javonte Green, again, Okoro, Chuma Okeke, shout out, JT Thor locking in. I don't know. Again, shout out like Jalen Tyson maybe if he competes, but no, I think Schroeder might be again their best perimeter defender in the entire Donovan Mitchell era. He might be the best perimeter defender Donovan Mitchell's played with. I guess he played with Royce O'Neal in Utah and a couple of I guess Conley, back then is a competitor. Like they were pretty good, and you got Gobert in the back line there helping you out. But again, like we're saying, that just brings you a different dynamic, and he can actually play make and run the team. And it does seem like in the past, I don't know, can we go field goal attempts per game here for sure? We might be proven wrong. He does seem to be, at least tonight anyways, delegating a good amount. Also, I guess you do have to say the Pistons are, doing a good job of cutting off his drives from time to time as well too. So he's passing when he has to. Hey, yo. But field goal attempts per game, where is he at here? Yeah, he's only at 9 per game, 23 minutes, 10 points a game. Like, it doesn't feel crazy. Like, again, Schroeder's a talented player. He's gonna be taking shots. I guess the percentages not crazy this year. His career percentages are actually kind of low, 43 and 34. But I guess you would obviously like Schroeder's been at times a very valued player in his career. So, shout out, obviously a long pause NBA career at this point. But, yeah, again, he has definitely been capable of, I guess, 17-18 Atlanta. He's 17 shots a game, but definitely 12 to 14, 15 attempts a game seems to be kind of normal for him. At this point. And yeah, again, 37% for the field, 29% for the field. He's not even making anything in Cleveland as well, too, and he's still being impactful. Getting to the free throw line is the one thing that he has been, I guess, doing. But yeah, he has been, creating a little bit and, playing tough defense for him there and giving him a good second unit type of look. And, again, they are up at this point 11 on seeming like a fully healthy Pistons team. They got Duran out there, they got Cade out there, Asar's out there, so everybody that you would expect seems like they are at full strength here. They have maybe been in a tad bit of a slump. Again, they're 45 and 14, so their record is actually pretty crazy at this point. They're almost a 50-win team at this point. If you had said going into the season, I don't know exactly what their over/under is here. Can we even see? They've got to be pretty close. But I imagine 52, 53 wins would be like an absolute win of a season. So hopefully they would win a little bit more than 7 games here down the stretch. But over under 46.5. So yeah, they're 1 win away from overachieving this year. So they've definitely I guess, well, they lost one recently, but I guess just, okay, close games is now them, struggling. It is what it is. But, yeah, so, again, they are looking like their record is going to be fine. But lost to the Spurs, beat OKC. Oh, they just played Cleveland as well, too. Hey, and then got the win against Orlando, who was in a battle for a while against the Wizards. Ayo, again, maybe everybody battles against the Wizards for just a while. But here, let's see if they've managed to pull away here at this point. Pause. Oh yeah, 103-81 in the fourth quarter. And then Dallas playing Charlotte. A chance potentially, it could have been another Cooper Flag Concanupple game for people to get excited about there. Charlotte still somehow below 500 at 30-31. But I did see we have to go back and check what their record was to start the year, because they've been a pretty substantially above 500 team as of late. Because I thought I saw a stat on the TV at work that we were scrolling by, and I was like, oh, the Wizards have like the third best record in the league since January. Like, what's going on there? Or the Wizards? The Hornets? What are we saying? Definitely not. That stat was definitely wrong if it said the Wizards. But I think if it said the Hornets, it may have been a little bit more accurate. Okay, 3 losses in here, but you see the wins going green. Yeah, I guess. It was a brutal start to the season in terms of a win-loss record. Here we go. Schedule. Where's the game logs at? More Hornets pages, game logs. Here we go. Let's see if it'll give us a combined record to start the year. I mean, 7-8 losses in a row, basically 10 out of 11 at one point to start the year. So when did it start to turn? I guess kind of right at the start of the calendar for the team. So if we just go, I guess give them the one day to January 2nd, they were 11-23 to start the year. So yeah, they definitely had quite a bit of ground to be making up, giving up 119 to scoring 115. So I guess since game 35, since January 3rd, they have been, and I guess it's almost 30 games here. Yeah, 19-8. So again, 70% win percentage. So I mean, again, they've been substantially better, but somehow they're still below 500 because of how brutal it was. And I guess it has been their defense locking in as well too, because they're scoring 116.2, so that is up slightly, but giving up only 105. So yeah, the Hornets, they are not to be messed with. And they're locking down against the Mavs tonight. Again, maybe we look at their schedule. Maybe there's been some favorable matchups. Again, there was the chance of the Cooper Flag matchup tonight. No Cooper Flag, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. When I went to the League Pass there, they did not have him as the face for the Mavs. So if it's PJ Washington, we know that's a tough sign. It is what it is. Chris Middleton. I mean, shout out to PJ Washington, I guess. I would still think that Chris Middleton could get the League Pass logo at this point. The League Pass logo rankings, but the Mavs are at the bottom of the League Pass logo rankings at this point. I think, of course, the Kings have the worst record in the league, but the Kings have, the League Pass logo rankings are strong. I don't know if you say that, you throw DeRozan up there now. Again, obviously, like we're saying, the team is the worst in the league, but DeRozan is still a star player. So that's still, I think, some pretty strong League Pass logo rankings. Again, you can go Westbrook there. You can go Zach LaVine. You can even go Sabonis. If all else fails, you can go Sabonis. Sabonis is still a better League Pass. There would have been nights, 3 or 4 years ago, you would have thrown Sabonis on the League Pass rankings without De'Aaron Fox, and it would have been this is Sabonis' team. And now, of course, De'Aaron Fox is, the stock is way up in San Antonio, and Sabonis is, like we're saying, is going to be, the veteran on the, welcoming in the number 1 pick into the franchise the next year. But I would still think Middleton maybe would be, I guess, the Mavs connection. PJ Washington's been on the Mavs just a little bit longer at this point. But I would say Middleton is, go back to the star player ranking, a little bit more of a star. I don't know, but they still don't have Knuppel over LaMelo at this point, or Brandon Miller over LaMelo for the Hornets. LaMelo is still the league pass logo, but again, all three options much stronger than what Dallas can throw it at this point. Max Christie, I don't know, is Max Christie there's just something about a certain type of veteran as well too that makes the league pass logo a little bit more depressing. Again, a veteran like DeRozan or Westbrook is different because we kind of understand that maybe the Kings want to tank as well too. I guess it would be, are the Kings smart enough to know that they're going for the number one pick? Or are they just like genuinely, again, like, they're just genuinely this, losing this amount of games? But those veterans are at least on the other side of their careers. And, again, the teams aren't maybe as committed to the collection of, again, it's not like a long-term thing there that is going to be the long-term thing. Obviously, that's crippling in Sacramento is, the decision-making that's been happening there. It's not necessarily the current roster formation, but there is something about like a player that is still like kind of at their peak contributing years. Again, do you say peak of the powers? But he's still at, you would think his peak contributing years, but it should be like the fifth best player on the team. And for some reason now, again, he's just been elevated to like he's the face of the league, face of the team at this point. So Washington with some of their young guys, they may be, even Brooklyn. I don't know. Brooklyn might be the only other team at this point that is competing in the depressing league pass logo rankings. Should we see right now who they have up? I guess this game's not really even close enough to go watch and see. But, and yeah, Schroeder, 13-5-5. Shout out. Is balling out tonight. Probably overs on all of the poly market stats for what they thought. But here, let's check it out and see. I guess we should see here real quick. Is Claxton? It's probably going to be Claxton for the league pass logo. Miami, they get Bam over Norm Powell. So again, that goes to the veteran status on the team, even though Norm Powell's a better player. Oh, Michael Porter. 2 for 13. Do we have to look at the stat correction of Michael Porter Jr. on this season? I mean, Michael Porter Jr. was going to make third team All NBA through, I don't know if it's quite be that good, but he was really scoring through the first couple of games. Still at 24 a game, 47 and 37%, I guess. Okay, the last couple have been okay, but 9 for 22, had an 8 for 19 against Atlanta. So he was, again, 9 for 16 against Dallas, 10 for 17 against Cleveland the other night in a loss. So kind of decent in that game. So I guess he's still managing to put together the good performances, but he was like a 50, 40, 90 guy there for a second. So again, would that have been for a full season? 47, 37 still actually obviously pretty good, but I guess there was a little bit of a dip here. 7 for 18, 2 for 13 against Orlando, 5 for 13 against Cleveland, 6 for 16, 8 for 19. So then did we just give up hope? And then once we gave up hope, he started cooking again. Because, in the last 4, he is actually, he's back to 50, 44, and 24 a game. But, again, a little bit more efficient. So, Michael Porter is actually, again, is he not necessarily the face of the franchise? But, again, he's at least a 25-point-a-game scorer. So, maybe that's what it is about P.J. Washington as well, too. Is there something about, like, when your league pass what happens if your league pass logo can't really get a shot for himself? Like, what does that mean? With all due respect to PJ Washington, he was helping that Mavs make the finals run because he was really knocking down corner threes and playing good defense. It is what it is there. It's like, okay, if you can't really generate a look off the dribble, should you be the league pass logo? I don't know. But again, at least Michael Porter Jr. is going to score. He's not maybe going to score every night, but he is going to score sometimes. So I don't really know who else would be in the competition at this point. Again, Chicago with with Josh Giddey, with maybe even Jaden, I don't know, Kobe White night to night. Maybe if they ever do get to a Dosunmu, Indiana, but again, they can go Siakam as well too. They could go Siakam. They could go, I guess, they did trade Mathurin to the Clippers, so they could go Zubats if he was playing, potentially. But Siakam is still not bad. And then Utah, of course, Utah is stacked. Hey, if all their guys are playing, they're going to be the 7 seed next year. Look out for the Jazz, the 7 seed Utah Jazz, Markkanen and Jaren Jackson. I mean, we can't necessarily underrate them. The 7 seed Jazz were fun back in the day. It does have the makings of that, like, Boozer, Andre Karolinko. I don't know if it has the same, player-to-player comparison across the board where, I don't know if Lauri Markkanen is Boozer and Jaren Jackson is Karolinko. Like, I think that's about the closest we could get to. I don't know if it'd be the other way around. I think that's pretty accurate. And then, Keontae George would have to be Darren Williams. Again, that doesn't seem too similar. I don't know. Maybe in some ways. Obviously, they're a little bit score first, but I think Keontae George is a little bit more down. I was gonna say a little quicker. I don't know. We'll have to go back and watch more Darren Williams highlights, but maybe a little bit more mid-range heavy for D-Will. I don't know, but those Jazz teams were pretty fun, honestly. And speaking of 2K, I remember there was an NBA Live year that we had, and the Jazz that year, I want to say was the NBA, one of the years of the 2Ks that we had back in the day. I know that could be a broad spectrum, but so if you remember this year, or again, NBA Lives, but there was a year where the Jazz had the worst rated team, and there was, I forget who was the other worst rated teams. There was them and the Sonics had a really bad team on the game that year, and again, the Jazz roster was still that original roster. So you would, this was back in our beginner days. We were still playing, the computer and still trying to, learn the game at this point. The New Orleans Jazz. I don't think that's what went. There we go. Utah Jazz. But it was still like the Darren Williams, Boozer, and Karolinko team. So it was still good players, and you'd be like, I don't understand how this is the worst rated team in 2K. They're like destroying the team that I'm playing with. So we'd have to go play that Sonics team. I think it was like Luke Ridnour was the best player on that team. So maybe the league was good back then. I don't know. There was also the Bulls with like Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon. I feel like were suspiciously low rated, but it's like Ben Gordon's toasting me over here. Like, what's happening? I want to say it was 10-11. See, they were 39, and then 11-12 they were 36 and 30. But I don't want to, I guess, shortened season. But, 26 and 56 in 04-05. It might have been 05-06. I want to say it was NBA Live 06, but it would have had the 04-05 roster. That seems like too big of a jump. But, again, I vaguely remember that because I was like, Carlos Boozer, how is this team the worst? So, yeah, Carlos Boozer, I guess 23, 51 games played, 17 a game. Karolinko. I guess they didn't. Did they have Williams at this point, or did they get him in the next draft? And then he would have been a rookie. CJ Miles. Oh, that's who they brought in. And then Darren Williams. Okay, wow. CJ Miles and Darren Williams in the same draft class? Unbelievable. So, yeah, they didn't get Chris Paul, but, I guess that makes up for it right there. Bringing in CJ Miles off the bench. Shout out. But so I guess, but that's what the thing. They were the lowest rated because I think that's how it worked out then. Hey, see, I've never looked into it because it would have been this roster that was the 26 win roster, but then got Darren Williams added into it. So maybe, and we didn't have the online ability to upgrade and update the roster, even with whatever the capabilities would have been back then. So, again, it would have been maybe whatever version of out to date it would have been when we would have gotten it. It would have been that still. But it just sneaky gets to add Darren Williams onto that team, and then fool you. But can we get like league standings from this year? I guess the Sonics, of course, are nearing the Kevin Durant trade. Oh, Atlanta at 13-69. We should have been playing this Atlanta team. The Bobcats. Oh, yeah, shout out. Definitely feel like we got a bunch of wins against the Bobcats. Though, I feel like we might have been playing with this Atlanta team because, shout out, they had Josh Smith on this team. So we definitely liked playing with, we definitely enjoyed running 2K games with Josh Smith. Hey, yo, that was close. I still might say pause just in case. But I think they might have had Joe Johnson as well, too, because, let's see, did they get him on the roster the next year? They did, so he would have been added onto that team. So, yeah, Joe Johnson and Josh Smith, we were definitely playing. See, that's the problem. We were playing with the team. That's why we were getting cooked. We were playing with this crappy Atlanta roster, and we should have been playing with, just better lineups in general. It is what it is. But, yeah, they had Joe Johnson. They had Josh Smith. Al Harrington, year 7. Not much going on else besides those two guys for a while. It is what it is. Still 26-56, 30-52 the next year. Hey, yo, get Joe Johnson some help. Shout out. Imagine if Joe Johnson would have been on a good team. Oh, he was. I mean, the team almost won the finals. If it hadn't have been for San Antonio, what are you going to do? You just run into a juggernaut franchise like that. And, you're going to... It is what it is. There could only be one victor. Shout out. So, it just happened to be San Antonio. But, yeah, they didn't get Horford, of course, until 07-08. And, yeah, we didn't even realize that the guy on the roster, Zaza Pachulia, would have wrecked the Spurs franchise down the road at some point as well, too. So, yeah, we're playing with the Spurs team back in the day. We're playing with the Joe Johnson Hawks. I don't even remember who else we would have been running with because we would have hated. We might have to fire that game back up, see if that's even possible. I don't even know. Can we look up NBA Live 06 rosters? I don't know. If there's a page that is collecting all of the old NBA Live rosters, then that'd be great. NBA Live rosters features full rosters from the 05-06 season. Included updated player signings, waivers, and free agent movements. Look at that. It was top of the line technology back in the day. Shout out. Oh, the LeBron in Cleveland. Oh, chat. Hey, yo, what a baby. But I mean, shout out. Obviously still playing. Wait on the cover of this. Yeah, this is definitely it. We had it for can we get the GameCube version? Shout out. Are these the graphics here? Is that Wade? Oh, Wade's not looking pretty good there. Feel like they're pretty locked in. Moby Games. There's nobody. Does anybody have rosters? I feel like we weren't necessarily playing with that Heat team too much as well. Again, we would. Carmelo, like I said, Pro Carmelo. We were definitely playing with the Denver team. We wouldn't have been playing with too many of the other teams in the West because we would have hated them all. It is what it is. But current roster update. Can we see this roster update? Is this some type of chat? Ayo, we don't want to get a virus, so maybe not. But the fandom, does the wiki fandom have our information? Oh, the soundtrack. Here we go. Lupe Fiasco, Jurassic 5, Nori, Q-Tip, Black Eyed Peas, the Chamillionaire. Hey, yo. I mean, obviously MIA. Obviously a fun track list there. That's for sure. Kind of a fun, again, obviously iconic names, but do you say kind of a fun underground track list? Like, do we have to pull up the track list for NBA Live 2K20 or NBA Live 2K? What is it, merger? Do we have to pull up the track list for NBA 25? I guess they do kind of have some cuts on there in a way. So, I'm sure it's equivalent, but yeah, no rosters to look at, unfortunately. So yeah, look at PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube, PlayStation Portable, GameCube. You'll love to see it on there. Cover athlete, Wade, Utah Tabusi. I don't know if that's how you say it, but Tony Parker and Pau Gasol. There's a Tony Parker version of the cover. We could have had that. Hey, yo, imagine Tony Parker cover NBA Live 06. We got to try to find it, chat. Hey, if anybody has a Tony Parker cover, send us the Send us the copy or just the cover, honestly. Hey, yo, we'll trade you cover for cover. Updated rosters for guide for GameCube. Oh, look at this. We can maybe download this right for... Check for cheats. Oh, look at this. 20 years later, we can unlock cheats for this game. Oh, finally. It is what it is. Oh, look at this roster updates. Dallas signs Adrian Griffin. Dallas waves Doug Christie. Ayo, San Antonio signs Melvin Sanders. Chad, I don't know who these people are. This is you know, in the weeds. Miami signs Gerald Fitch, Matt Walsh, Howard Isley. I guess, like we said, what do we say? The memory for players is like 12 to 15 years. Lionel Chalmers, Ryan Humphrey, Derek Zimmerman. These do all literally sound like this could be somebody's made-up auto-generated roster. There's literally not a single name on here that sounds familiar. This has to be made up. Corey Blunt. There's no way that there's this many NBA players that I've never heard of. Steve Castleberry, chat. Philadelphia Waves, Steve Castleberry. There's no way. Obviously, Steph Castle now. Can we look any of these guys up? Let's see if Steve Castleberry actually played for Philly. Again, this is 2006. Like, this is not that long ago. Yeah, see, there's no Castleberry. There's no Steve Castleberry. Unless these are all, like, the 60 overall rated guys. But I think these are all I think they auto-generated some players at the end of this roster. Indiana Waves, Jimmy Hunter, Tony Bobbitt. Tony Bobbitt, all spelled one name. That's just a gamer tag. That's all. Oh, here we go. Milwaukee acquires Jamal Magloire and Desmond Mason for a first-round pick. Okay, we finally have some names. So, yeah, I don't know what was going on here. That was a trip, chat. Hey, yo. There's literally, I guess, Adrian Griffin. We didn't register the first one. And Doug Christie. But that was quite a run of names to not recognize. Kasib Powell, Sherrod Ford, Lucas Tischer, Ronald Dupree. I mean, he might play NFL, honestly. Nudie Eby, Noel Felix, Alex Scales, Tariq Abdul-Wahad, Rodney White literally did play in the NFL. They're just copying an NFL name. I mean, or was it Roddy White that played for Atlanta? I guess, but, you know, speaking of the Atlanta receiver, shout out. And then, yeah, George Lynch, Steve Castleberry, Oluwu Famutimi, who also, again, could be the tackle for the Jets now, Anthony Grundy, Ajani Williams, Curtis Borchardt, Randy Holcomb, Kalina Azubuike, Obina Azia, Chevy Chet. Hey, yo, what do we do? Eric Chenoweth, is that an actor? Nigel Dixon, Mark Pope. I'm pretty sure he coaches Kentucky now. That's not even. I think if we're talking real play, there's a Pope that coaches Kentucky. I just don't know if it's Mark. Theron Smith, Deji Kendall, Justin Davis, Ray Young. Hey, yo, chat. We're bad people for not saying these names. Cancel us now. But Andre Barrett, Tommy Smith. I mean, just literally none of these are familiar. Lionel Chalmers, Ryan Humphrey, John Lucas, Derek Zimmerman, Anthony Lever Pedroza, Torrey Morris, Corey Williams. I mean, I probably that name sounds like familiar enough, you know, Corey Williams, but still. Hiram Fuller, Billy Thomas. Charlotte acquires Jermaine Jones from the Lakers for a second-round pick. So this trade literally was for a second-round pick. This guy has to exist. This guy. Oh, here we go. Okay. We finally have a real player. Jermaine Jones. The Thriller from Camilla. And he's got a sick nickname. Jermaine Jones turns out to be a baller. 7 a game for his career. Scored 10 a game. So the year that we needed him to play in this NBA Live, he was balling out 10 a game. Maybe not the best percentages. The year before, he was 39% from 3 on the Lakers. So I guess, and then they traded him. Is that what happened? But kind of maybe a decent spot up guy. So there we go. There's a real player to reference. And then the Jamal Magloire. So maybe Hiram Fuller. We have to investigate. Rem and Sam investigates. Are these real players? Wait, I thought I saw him. Hiram Fuller. Where was he at? Oh, RAM. Hiram Fuller. Shout out. 2 points a game. Undrafted. Played a year for Atlanta. Played in 03-04. So must have just been on the roster for a couple of years. Shout out. No disrespect. It is what it is. Where'd he go to school? Fresno State? Hiram Fuller at Fresno State. Do we have some college stats here? 10 a game. 10 and 7. Wait, is he a center? What's going on? Power forward? How could you get drafted when you're scoring 10 and 7? You have to be like, what, Hashim Thabit? You have to just be like 47-inch vertical? I don't know. But, yeah, Hiram Fuller, I guess, is real. Billy Thomas. So we could, I guess, do a math percentage and see. But a lot of Filiberto Ribera, Tariq Thomas, Bryant Matthews, Fred Vinson. That one actually sounds kind of familiar for some reason. Allen Houston. New York announces the retirement of Allen Houston. So there we go. The great career of Allen Houston winding down. Vlade Divac, Matt Barnes. Okay, Chad. Shout out. It's like from Mystics running into a friend over here. It's like, okay, finally a name we know. Chicago signs Eddie Curry. We've never been happier to see Eddie Curry, and trades him along with Antonio Davis to New York for Tim Thomas, Michael Sweetney, Jermaine Jackson. Oh, chat. Hey, shout out the Jackson 5. And the New York also sent Chicago its 07 and 09 seconds, a conditional 06 first, and a conditional right to swap an 07 first. Wait, this was all for Eddie Curry? They signed and traded him for a lot? Hey, chat, we can barely understand it. It is what it is. Portland signs Clancy. Reggie Evans? Okay, that sounds familiar. Aaron Miles. I guess we could just go through moves all day. It's literally everybody. Minnesota waves Fred Hoiberg. This is when Fred Hoiberg started coaching right here. Shout out. Calvin Booth. They also waived Calvin Booth. Sacramento signed Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Ooh, still getting signed in 06. Golden State signed second-round pick Monte Ellis. So this would have been, of course, the pre-Splash Brothers days. This would have been the pre-We Believe Warriors days as well, too. I don't think they would have necessarily had... did they have... They had Jason Richardson. And they had... I don't know if they had... Who are we thinking of? Baron Dave? Who else was playing around then at that time? I guess, again, they said they drafted him in the second round. And, yeah, I guess his rookie year, he wasn't super impactful. Because I don't think his grade was, like, crazy high that year. Again, maybe these rosters were, like, half updated. We did buy this game used. So, again, we didn't have the online access after we got it. So, the game could have been, like, half updated with some of the rosters. And I don't know if it would have gotten confused there. Okay, yeah, Baron Davis was there. Dunleavy, shout out Will Bynum. Did they have David Lee yet? Maybe 06, 07 might be a little far ahead. So, yeah. Oh, Matt Barnes. They were saying that Matt Barnes was around there, and Troy Murphy. So, yeah, they hit some good players, but they weren't necessarily too tempting to play with, though. Jason Richardson was, because of the dunk contest stuff, obviously pretty fun. Oh, Steven Jackson in this game. I do remember Steven Jackson being on the Pacers, because the Pacers were kind of a fun team. So this is just remembering 05, 06 NBA 2K or NBA Live. Hey, yo. But I guess in some ways it is the 20th anniversary. So shout out to the game there. And again, we're not going to remember everybody on this Indiana team right away. Was Granger there at this point? But there's another name that, yeah, Granger was there. Eddie Hill. Jermaine O'Neal. That's who we would want to play with. Pause. Jermaine O'Neal. Is that our starting five from 05, 06? And I don't know if was this Jermaine O'Neal at like the peak of his powers. We got to make in the All-Star game this year. I guess I don't know what side of the career year this would fall on. I guess kind of his last career year at this point. Then 06, 07, still makes an all-star team. I guess 10th in Defensive Player of the Year voting, so also in some ways, still keeping the prime alive. 69, played way more games, well, too, so way better, I guess, in 06, 07. But 47% from the field and 20 a game. that year. Yeah, he was third in MVP voting. Third in MVPs? Is that right? Hey, yo. Second team All NBA. I guess that's the center luck because 0304, that's got to be Duncan or Shaq at that point. Or Garnett. Hey, yo, but Duncan was above him there as well. So I guess, or that's just for MVP. What are we saying for All NBA? Would have been, yeah, Shaq is the center and Duncan and Garnett, both, I guess, as the forward. So yeah, Jermaine O'Neal. Unfortunately, not going to be though he was over Shaq in the MVP voting. He only got one MVP vote. Hey, yo, nobody, I guess because of him and Kobe, you can't really vote for either. Oh, that's Defensive Player of the Year. You can't really vote for either. He was, oh, there we go. Okay, 178 to 212 for Kobe. So Kobe kind of passed him in MVP voting that year. That's probably games played. Oh, never mind. Hey, yo, Chad, it is what it is. Kobe, 65 games played to Shaq's 67. So he just passed him as a player. Hey, you say, why do you trade Shaq and keep Kobe? Kobe was better at that point, I guess. It is what it is. Though Peja, somebody voted Peja first. The number one MVP. What year? 0304. Peja Stojakovic, the MVP of the league. I guess he was 24-6, 48-43. I mean, he was cooking that year. Hey, yo. But I don't, going back and watching him play, like Dirk, of course, I mean, we literally saw his offensive game lead a team to 5. I don't know if Peja had quite the same ability to get a bucket in the same way. Like, maybe he just did and didn't have, unfortunately, the playoff run that Dirk had. Like, he didn't, of course, get the NBA Jam on fire mode the way that Dirk did in that one playoff run. But I don't know if his offensive game in general was quite as advanced as, like, Dirk was. So, again, like, Dirk's, like, a guy, like, not to say, I do think that, because did Peja have the quarter scoring record there for a while? For some reason, I want to say that I remember hearing Klay Thompson being compared to Peja for some reason. And, like, Klay Thompson's a guy that could definitely be, like, quote unquote, the best player in a game or the best player in a series, or, again, the best player, like, however you want to phrase it. But I don't know if you quite see him being, like, best player in the league for a stretch of the season, if that makes sense. Again, with all due respect to Klay Thompson, I'm just trying to, like, maybe picking on his play style a little bit as well, too. And again, if he had to develop a little bit of a different play style, who knows? He was a lethal scorer. He would have probably figured it out. But his sort of little bit of off-the-ball style scoring, of course, does maybe it doesn't seem like he's, again, like, most dominant player in the league. Seems like he can be the most dominant player in a moment and completely turn a game and all that different stuff. Like, I'm sure Peja did that as well, too. But anyway, point being, Jermaine O'Neal from back in the day. We got Jermaine O'Neal, Joe Johnson, Carmelo. Is Jason Richardson is probably on the team, honestly. It is what it is. Is that 4? And then this is our non-Spurs biased, unbiased lineup from this time of the NBA. Those ones did kind of subconsciously, I did kind of subconsciously remember those without having to do too much thinking. I don't know if we see another team here, if it would get a name for a 5th spot, but those 4 do seem like they are pretty. Yao, I do remember playing with Yao Ming quite a few times, and this was pre our Tracy McGrady days. This would have still have been a little too close to the 13 seconds, or the 33 points in 13 seconds, or whatever. What is it, 30? Was it 13 or 30? I don't even know, because I don't want to go back and ever think about it and revisit it. It's just, fortunately the Spurs won 5 titles over those 2 decades. And, not saying that I didn't want Tracy McGrady to win one. I'm just saying that, we were definitely the better team. So we were able to make up for it in that way. But, yeah, that was still a little bit painful. Maybe did we say Joe Johnson? We definitely did say Joe Johnson, right? We said Jermaine O'Neal, Joe Johnson, Melo, and Jason Richardson. Those 4. I think there was probably one other name we were mentioning earlier. Ben Gordon was the other name that maybe was in contention. I'm not sure, but maybe Garnett, maybe Boozer. Like Boozer. We were playing against Boozer. Somebody on the Clippers, maybe. No, maybe the Clippers were the sneaky team to play against as well too. 47 and 35, but still kind of a team. You know, I guess Elton Brand was cooking back in the day. Definitely maybe an underrated superstar for us back then. You know, cooking them in 2K. I don't know. Katino Mobley, Sam Cassell, Chris Kaman. Though maybe because of the weird offseason stuff, we'd have to go back and double check. I guess the Elton Brand run there, because I remember cooking Chris Kaman a lot. Is really what it was. Hey, shout out to Chris Kaman, but we definitely learned to play a lot of NBA Live against Chris Kaman. It is what it is. But we're running a four-man team. I mean, I guess Ginobili would have been the fifth guy if we're taking a Spur. But if we have to go non-Spur, Blazer, would it have been Timberwolf? Maybe, yeah, I don't think it was a Blazer. Jaren Jack, Darius Miles. Ooh, this is another interesting one. Theo Ratliff, Zach Randolph, Juan Dixon, Steve Blake. Did we mention Jarrett Jack already? Vashawn Leonard, Sebastian Telfair, Martell Webster. A little bit depressing there. Oh, maybe Amari. Again, we wouldn't have necessarily enjoyed playing with the Phoenix Suns because they were rivals at the time. So it was a little like, I don't know about that. Jason Kidd, I don't know, just trying to be honest. I don't necessarily. Oh, maybe, I think it might have been Ben Wallace. The double, like, bicep armbands and the afro was, a pretty cool look with the headband there to set everything off. It was definitely something that we were rocking with the old, like, those of course, iconic Pistons lineup as well too. Still with Billups, Prince, Hamilton, and Wallace. So I mean, Hamilton as well too was fun. 45% from three that year. Hey, was definitely cooking. I mean, literally not even making one a game. He would make one every other game, and he led the league in 3-point percentage. That was a mere 20 years ago. It is what it is. But does that lineup make sense? Ben Wallace. Jermaine O'Neal, Joe Johnson, Jason Richardson, and now we're back down to four. Who's our fifth guy at this point? Hey, we always remember 4 out of 5. It is what it is. But and I'm gonna get the fifth one, and then immediately now think, can we get a piece of paper? Can we write this lineup down? It is what it is. But, okay, do we highlight the teams? Hey, we can't even remember our own favorite players, chat. Shout out. But that just shows you how many great players there have been. That's the way we'll make up for it and, make excuses there. But, yeah, we have, okay, oh, wait, Joe Johnson's not even on Phoenix. Oh, wait, Amari's on Phoenix. That's what it is. Hey, shout out. See, we don't even know who the players we're picking off these teams are now. It is what it is. We took Amari. Oh, Carmelo. That's who the other guy was. See, we got there. We have Amari and now we got the wrong O'Neal. Amari and Jermaine O'Neal as our centers, and then Carmelo as the small forward. Joe Johnson and Jason Richardson in the backcourt. Hey, we need to see what this lineup would, if this lineup would actually work. So we got the 2005-2006 season, I guess, for this roster to compete against. I guess in some ways that roster would have crushed the 05-06 season, because the depth of the league is different in terms of just stacking 5 guys on a team. If you would have done that, they would have been overpowered. But let's see if we can just get a judge of this team. How good is this 05-06 team? So we've got our center. We can't just put O'Neal because, again, we have a couple stars in the league at that point. But we've got Jermaine O'Neal. Oh, chat, our capitals are way off. Hey, we can't spell. Jermaine O'Neal. We said we had Amari. Hey, we're going to have to remember which way our caps lock is here. Amari, Mello, Jason Richardson, shout out, and Joe Johnson is our guys for our team. So, I mean, I think the skill sets do make sense, of course, positionless basketball these days. But we do have a little bit of a a lack of, like a true point guard. Joe Johnson, Melo might be a little ISO heavy. Amari obviously at his best with Steve Nash. I don't know if this lineup is the best for him, especially the spacing to Jermaine O'Neal and then Jason Richardson around that. But regardless, I think the talent and the will to win. This team is obviously full of guys that just want to win basketball games, obviously. So Jermaine O'Neal, 20 a game, elite rim protector. Amari, 26, monster when healthy. Melo, the younger Denver. Defense was optional. Oh, they didn't have to add that. Jason Richardson, athletic slasher, 3-point range, great transition threat. Joe Johnson, big-time shot creator. I mean, I guess, what do we got? Talent, A plus. Fit, B. Defense, B minus. Championship odds in 2006, 25 to 35%. I mean, I don't even know what that means. That feels like quite a bit. It's 1/3 of a chance they're going to win the league. Does a team just go into a season with that? Do we want to sim a series against the 06 Heat? This team better, honestly, this team better win against the 06 Heat. It's literally got, again, all the names that we mentioned, but Amari at 26 a game. Like, Melo is still Melo's an all-NBA guy at this point. Like, I would assume he's kind of ascended to that mark. And those Denver teams were obviously competitive playoff teams as well too. They could have even have made the finals if it hadn't been for the Lakers a couple of seasons there. But yeah, 06, 07, literally the next year, I guess, is when he really takes that last step forward in turn. But yeah, this would have been that first year where he really, I guess, pops off in terms of a big number, and then, starts leading the league in field goals after that. 15th in MVP voting, gets his first MVP. 14th in MVP voting as a rookie. Shout out. So reemerges on the MVP ballot after that. But yeah, his first All-NBA appearance this year anyways, in 05-06. So you've got literally 3-4 All-NBA players on this team in 05-06. Again, this wasn't even how teams were built back then. We literally just saw Shaq and Kobe just dominate the entire league for 3 years. They couldn't be stopped. I mean, they'd be unstoppable in general, of course, but you've got, again, the MVPs right now: Phoenix, Cleveland, Dallas, the Lakers, Detroit, Miami, Clippers. I guess, yeah, shout out the Spurs are the one team, but again, the Parker, Ginobili, Duncan thing, it's a little more organic, and obviously it is the power of the trio together that makes it a little bit better than just, like, again, the sort of three superstars playing together as well. But and then Philly, and then so yeah, Phoenix with Nash, and then Sean Marion at 10th is your first duplicate on the MVP ballot there for 05-06. So again, there wasn't just as much. You got Jameer, most improved. I would say Jameer Nelson making the All NBA team. Hey what's going on there? But yeah, we got Melo on third team All NBA that year. I guess Amari didn't make it. I guess games played probably going to be an issue. But Joe Johnson did get 2 votes. Okay, so, and I guess what we said, Jermaine O'Neal? Wait, he was on, Ben Wallace. Are we looking at the right year? What was this, 05-06? 06-07? I guess around this time, though, he was still making did he make this was the 50, he didn't qualify for games played. This was the 50 games played season. So then, yeah, the next season he was there. So yeah, again, I guess so that would have been the problem with our team is injuries. I guess it better win like in 5 games versus this Heat team. Honestly, unless Wade literally gets every foul call, it is what it is. Shaq still could be dominant as well too. Gary Payton, Antoine Walker, Haslam, and Jason Williams. Again, this team won the finals, chat. This team won the finals. It is what it is. The Heat lead 1-0. No way. 103-92. Wade, 34 points, 12 free throws. Melo scores 30. Oh, Chad, if we get cooked by the Heat, that's disgusting. The ChatGPT is unreliable, and this is the determining factor right here. Game 2, adjusting. Oh, Joe Johnson takes over. The secret of this. See, Joe Johnson, this all was to prove the fact that Joe Johnson just needed a better team. That's really all it is. Game 3, Melo's masterclass, but Wade drops 40. Jermaine blocks 4 shots on Shaq late. Whoa. Is that like Shaq going up for the layup and just Jermaine O'Neal just keeps swatting him? O'Neal turns back O'Neal. I'm sure we get some type of iconic quote there. up 2-1. Game 4, 2-2. See, 6 games is already not accurate. But game 5, they're going to win as well. Oh, ridiculous. Wade goes legend mode, draws 15 free throws. Joe Johnson struggles with pressure. That's not right either. The man was clutch. Game 6, a must win. Melo with 35, Amari with 28. Jay Richardson finally shows up. It is what it is. So they just had to take us for 7 for the drama. That's how you know it's fake. It's entertainment. It's all scripted. It is what it is. But Game 7, Wade versus Melo in the fourth quarter. Chat, my heart is pounding. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully our guys can be clutch here. Wade hits a tough bank shot. Melo answers with a step back. Shaq draws a double. Haslam's going to get a dunk on Amari. Let me remind Amari's a 26-a-game menace at this point in his career. He's not letting Haslam dunk on him. It is what it is. Joe Johnson misses potential go-ahead 3. Why? Why did this have to all boil down to Joe Johnson blowing it? Pause. In the clutch time. It is what it is. Final minute. Wade isolation on Jay. Wait, so is that... Oh, fourth quarter? So that... Okay, we're still in it. Wade isolation on Jay Rich. Spin, pump fake, and 1. Why is Jason Richardson guarding Wade? Who's our other... I guess Joe Johnson. Let's just get the size on him. Pause. Hey, yo, get Jason Richardson over on Gary Payton or something. What are we doing? This is somebody... Who's our coach? Hey, yo. Chat. This is legitimately devastating. Oh, man. I didn't expect that one bit. The Heat win 4-3 against our dream team? Oh, chat. No elite point guard. Wade's the best player in the series. Free throw differential. Oh, chat. Hey, I mean, who's the point guard on my... I guess they got what? They got White Chocolate, right? That's who it was. They got Jason Williams, sneaky old Jason Williams. But Antoine Walker and Gary Payton are just nowhere to be seen. Haslam, I mean, you got to give him his credit. But, oh, Chad, that's ridiculous. I feel like Melo and Joe Johnson are too much. They're too much, Dan. It's an unstoppable combo. It is what it is. Was Melo at least the MVP of the league? Something. I don't know. That did not go as planned. It is what it is. And that's tough, chat. You don't always know what your title window is. You don't always know what your title window is. We don't know how many seasons we're going to be able to keep this lineup together. The health of Jermaine O'Neal and, Melo's going to request a trade to New York at some point. It is what it is. I don't know where this franchise is at. If it's our hypothetical. Because, again, we could say San Antonio, but then we would break up our own Spurs. So we also don't want to, necessarily, well, I guess we do if we're running the team. We do want to win against the Spurs in the finals, but we don't want to break up the iconic trio of the Spurs. So we'll have to be a different team. But hey, yo, I guess the Wade turns out the league is still trying to rig it for Wade. They're trying to tell us that it was actually Dwayne Wade being the best player in the series, but no, we all know that it was rigged. It is what it is. So they can't fool us now, and we know that actually this lineup would have gotten the win. It is what it is. Can we just ask it what would have been the 2K the NBA Live ratings for these guys? I guess Jason Richardson would have been the only one that would have been lower. We're gonna have to do some research, chat. Hey, yo. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sick, chat. I'm sick to my stomach. I can't believe we just lost the finals to the Heat. It is what it is. Jason Richardson, 2006. NBA Live player rating. We're blaming it on Jason Richardson's going to get himself traded. He's been a beloved, we've had all these great memories of dunk contest because they used to have the dunk contest back then as well too. So you could play with him in the dunk contest there. So it was from NBA Live, Jason Richardson's Golden State Warriors shooting guard small. He was rated as a Hall of Fame player in the game's classic roster system. While the exact rating isn't listed in the provided 2K data. AO. So they didn't have number ratings, I guess, from back then. 2K26. Oh, here we go. We can at least see what his 2K rating equivalent is from back in the day, I guess. Because again, the We Believe Warriors, they have to be in every version of the game. It is what it is. They're iconic. I mean, the Warriors do have a couple of iconic teams that do get in the games, because you do also have to have the Tim Hardaway Jr. teams in there, and you do I remember there being a Rick Barry team as well too, and I think there was a Nate Thurman, sneaky a fun legend to play with. That guy was a menace menace with the rebounds in real lives, of course, but in 2K, man, it translated. I tell you, that guy would grab every single rebound. It is what it is. But Jason Richardson's an 80 overall in 2K16 or back in 2K again 2K26, but still, it's still rating him from that era. Right, it's obviously not rating him now. I mean, with all due respect to Jason Richardson, he's not an NBA equivalent 80 overall these days. It is what it is. I mean, is he a better NBA player right now than his kid? I don't know. Again, obviously it's not fair to him. But yeah, 80 overall and he's probably the worst player in this lineup. Besides, yeah, I guess if Joe Johnson was like a sneaky 79 or something like that, but there's no way Joe Johnson's not like an 84 or something like that. Chat, I'm peeved. It really got under my skin. It is what it is. Is this their current lineup? Hey, yo, shout out. I guess the Hawks have Jalen Johnson for the League Pass logo rankings. I was going to say McCollum was jumping off the page. I think McCollum, if he was on the League Pass logo, that would start to get into the depressing levels, with all due respect to McCollum. But Jalen Johnson as the League Pass logo is not at all too bad, obviously. Atlanta is totally fine there. Oh, here we go. We can just search players. Joe Johnson, shout out. Again, we might just fire this game back up just to run a game with the Joe Johnson, Josh Smith Atlanta Hawks and see what we have there. One of our iconic 2K NBA. It's just sorry to NBA Live. Sorry to whoever made is that Microsoft? I don't know. EA, that's who it is. It's EA, right? Sorry to EA. Because the EA Sports is iconic. Obviously, Madden is iconic. But, I mean, if we're talking NBA, 2K is just the natural way to say it. It is what it is. So, I guess there is the rosters for now. Can we get, historic rosters? Asa Newell, 70. Buddy Hield's a 70. If CJ McCollum's an 83 right now, I mean, Joe Johnson had to be at least Trae Young an 89 overall. Jalen Johnson 80? What's he at right now? Jalen Johnson an 88? Jalen Johnson might be a 90 overall. I don't know. 2K might have to do an update. Maybe an 89. 88 does seem like a smidge too low. I don't know why it can't load the Joe Johnson search. Unfortunately, it is what it is. We might have to just look it up the way we looked up the Jason Richardson one here and see what happens. Because we have to get proof that if everybody on this lineup is over 80 in this game, there's just no way that we would lose. And I guess, I don't know, it's thinking the game versus real life wrong, but I feel like, I guess all-time Hawks ranking was no, Jason Richardson, that was a team specific. So that would have been, that year specific, he was a 80 overall. I guess maybe you could say, again, this is sort of a combo. Joe Johnson at 89 overall. Shout out. Is Jalen Johnson as good right now as Joe Johnson back then? Like, Joe Johnson definitely, of course, do you say a way better scorer? I think it's fair to say a way better scorer. And I think still, obviously, a capable player all the way around. But Jalen Johnson is definitely, a very, very impactful player himself. 59 steal, 37 block. Yeah, the defensive, 64 defense for a guy Joe Johnson. Not necessarily known as a lockdown defender. But regardless, obviously, one of the great bucket getters of the league at the time. So, 89 overall? And then Melo, and then Amari, and Jermaine O'Neal. I mean, chat. Hey, yo. They just want us to run the series back. It is what it is. But, shout out. So, hey, yo, we have to get into some of this NFL topics, chat. We're getting distracted by the NBA over here. But I think the Spurs have safely put this game away. We mentioned the fact that NBC has the throwback graphics up. And the way they have the scorecard situated on the screen right now, I guess, a little peek behind the curtain over here. We still got the energy guide tag on the TV. It is what it is. But it's covering up the ones column on the score column, so I can only see the 10s, and I see the Spurs have a 1 and Philly has a 6. So I don't think the Spurs are in the teens, but I do think Philly is in the 60s. So is it like one? I think it might be like 111. It's one teen something to 60, and hey yo, Bob Costas on the call, or is he just in the Bob Costas and Doug Collins on the call? I guess they're really hey yo, go paying homage. It is what it is. Obviously we haven't really been paying attention to the broadcast crew. Shout out, but. Yeah, I guess we were kind of maybe thinking like maybe hiding the score would be a good thing if this game was close, but no, it is what it is. And a little Wemby revenge against Philly, not necessarily against Embiid, because Embiid was the one that cooked him for 70. A couple, we forget Embiid cooked the man for 70 back in the day, but they've safely put this one away. 4 minutes left in the third quarter, so we've got some NFL offseason stuff to take a look at. There is some franchise tag deadline stuff going on. I don't know, but there's some offseason stuff that we got to look at for the upcoming NFL season. Free agency starts soon as well too. So we'll dive in right after this. All right, we are back. Hey, yo, we don't need reminders that we lost this hypothetical title. It is what it is. We need to look at the fact that it's almost time as the NFL offseason really gears up. We've been gearing up for draft season, like we mentioned going into break. The franchise tag deadline was today. Teams kind of setting the stage for some of their offseason moves and how they might approach the free agency and draft periods. But that, of course, did get me thinking as we were walking around the restaurant today, and as I guess something was going on with the Pat McAfee show, because it seemed like Rich Eisen was on ESPN for a minute, and then McAfee was back, so I think he was just on vacation. But I was like, wait a second, did McAfee leave? Did he get suspended? Like, what happened? Rich Eisen, because like Eisen would kind of be the perfect post McAfee show to have. Maybe not the perfect one, but I guess a very realistic post McAfee show. I think McAfee at this point is, too big to be canceled at ESPN. I guess not for him to necessarily be canceled at ESPN, but it does seem like, he's got a sort of a lot of, we've already seen him real test the bounds of in terms of the relationships, like executives and stuff. It seems like from some certain reports, but it seems like it would take a lot for them to remove the show with the audience that he brings to the network. But Eisen is obviously real popular, and he does have I guess, I don't really know what you say for, like, does he have a little bit more critical acclaim? Because again, it is a little bit more in the audience than they are the critics. So I don't know if there really is like the critical acclaim amongst the critical shows, but I think Eisen does have kind of a critical show. And if you did want to maybe we're getting back to like some more like traditional sports radio, but in a more, professional, do you say new school podcasty type of way, like Eisen might be in a hypothetical post McAfee ESPN world, like Eisen might be the show that they would potentially go to in that slide. So that was me. I was like, wait a second, what happened there? But no, McAfee was back, and I did see them talking today about what would be the best landing spot for Max Crosby. So that did get me thinking. I was like, oh man, we haven't visited the NFL trade machine yet for the offseason. And again, I don't think it's necessarily been a good time to up until this point. So I think it is a month out from the draft, a good time to take a scan and see what the landscape could look like. Because I guess the case for trading Max Crosby would, of course, be to continue to acquire picks and get on that timeline of Fernando Mendoza and try to, get similar players that align there. But it is a little bit of an interesting spot for the Raiders this year because, for one, you do have to consider the fact that, and I know, again, it could be a long walk for them to be the number one overall pick this year and then, in one offseason, turn it around to a playoff team or more than that. But it is interesting, obviously, that Mahomes is returning from injury this offseason. And, obviously, if Kansas City was a lock to win the AFC West this offseason, I guess this is the first offseason where we kind of go into that, we're approaching it where that is not the fact. It is what it is. I guess, like we said before, obviously, I think Mahomes has said that he's approaching the offseason and trying to gear up for a week one return. But because the outcome of the season is, of course, going to be determined on how many games he plays and his health factor, we can't even make a judgment on that until he plays and until we see him play and until, the team makes a decision as well, too, on like what direction they want to go this year. They could maybe decide that, hey, we want to, I guess, it could be a Celtics type of year where they're like, we'll just win as much as we can and then hopefully we get Mahomes back for the playoffs. And then, it's like, Mahomes going to play 3 games to win the Super Bowl. But, they could also try to go, Golden State in 2020, 2021 or 2020 or, whatever the Wiseman year was. They could go try to get their own James Wiseman in the draft. I know that's going to be on the top of their draft boards. Like the goal for 2026, get James Wiseman in the draft. But, get in quotes, the next James Wiseman in the draft. But, use the opportunity for missing your star players to, of course, acquire talent in the draft. But again, if you're the Raiders, if you're a team in the AFC West, the Broncos, of course, looked very strong. But again, Bo Nix himself doesn't necessarily have, was playing really, really good. And by the time we got to the end of the year, and the fact that he got injured as well, too, and we did kind of see his importance to that team in a way, like, again, did solidify himself as like a real starting quarterback. But I don't know if you could approach the offseason being just like, well, the Broncos are like, how are we going to get past the Broncos? Again, I think the Broncos might be the most talented team in the NFL. But the quarterback piece in terms of the fear of the team, and that does set a tone if it goes, obviously it's the quarterback. And not to say that, again, after all that, we doubt Bo Nix, but you're still not going to rank him in the top 10 or, top 15 or whatever. And I guess if you're the Raiders, I guess now that I'm thinking about it as well, too, I don't know, is this the hot take of all hot takes? This is literally the hot take of all hot takes, but not the hot take of all hot takes. It's just a hot take about Herbert. But if Mahomes is hurt, I guess the hot take is, okay, maybe we've queued it up too much now at this point. If Mahomes is hurt, Mendoza is the best quarterback in the AFC West. And obviously, again, that would be disrespectful to where Herbert is at this point in his career. This trade machine's old. It is what it is. Can we get a new NFL trade machine? Shout out. I feel like we were running into these problems at the trade deadline. So I think maybe we can find another site to help us out here. But yeah, again, they could be very, very competitive from the quarterback spot in year one. I think it is, unfair if Mendoza were to struggle in year one to, obviously write him off as a potential good option, because I do think that he does provide a little bit more win now potential. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that his career is obviously, gonna play out that way. But regardless, it does mean that I think that they could, be a little bit not contendery, but they could be a little feisty in year one at some point if Mendoza, again, is kind of adjusting quickly to life in the NFL. And if they are able to provide a good team around him. And of course, having Crosby on the defensive side of things would give you a stud there. And they do, of course, have the offensive studs that are already in place. So I don't know, unless you were able to get multiple firsts for Max Crosby, I don't know if I would necessarily trade him. Again, I don't think that that's necessarily a hot take perspective, but again, you could kind of just sell now, not even a sell high or a sell low or whatever, but just a sell now because of the timing of the team. And you just go, Max Crosby is maybe going to want a little bit more certainty in the win nowness than, again, the rookie quarterback. But I do think it is a good, again, maybe he wants to be on a great team. But I do think it is a good team, because the team that I guess we were seeing Max Crosby trade headlines, the team that I saw McAfee talking about trading Max Crosby to, McAfee, Max Crosby, they kind of look alike as well, too. Getting our white guys confused. I don't know. If you tatted up Pat McAfee, would it be McAfee Crosby? I don't know. But is McAfee not tatted up? McAfee seems tatted up. No, he's not tatted up. I don't know. But anyways, he was saying that maybe Max Crosby should go to the Cowboys. And, I mean, we all know the Cowboys are no closer to winning the Super Bowl than the Raiders. We got him, Chad. We got him. We didn't mean to have the pre-writtens on today's show, but it is what it is. We had to sneak in the one Cowboys line. But, yeah, unless, of course, the Cowboys do have 12-20, and you might say, oh, you're going to give up 12 to get Max Crosby. I mean, Max Crosby is one of, the 6 best pass rushers in the league. I think, yes, if I'm in the Raiders, I'm demanding 12. Again, if you're the Cowboys, you could argue it. but I'm definitely demanding it. I think at least 20 is fair. At least 20 is fair. And do they have the 27 first from Green Bay in the Micah Parsons trade? What do they do with their own 27 first? I guess we could investigate that. But you would have to get that back as well too. I guess here, let's double check. What did Micah Parsons get? And Micah Parsons is, and obviously that trade isn't even fair, but just as a baseline as well too, like Max Crosby maybe is like 1 second round pick less or 1 third round pick less than Micah Parsons. You know, like one minor little trade piece less. And again, it's just because I think Micah Parsons is slightly younger, but I mean Max Crosby is at the perfect point of his career where you're still hoping to get, you know, I would assume a lot of good football years out of him, but is he like 30? I don't know. Hey, yo, I guess that's not necessarily the end sentence for pass rushers, but I want to say, you know, 26, 27 at this point. I don't know, maybe 28, 29. I don't know. We'll have to look and see what's going on. If we can get verified here, chat. I don't know. We're getting mixed up with, they're thinking we're AI for some reason, but yeah, we are, I guess, just trying to figure out how old Max Crosby is, honestly. I don't know. It would seem crazy if he was 26, but also he might be. He's 28. So, you know, again, 28 to 32, 28 to 33. You'd still hope to get even 3 seeds. Like, you know, you'd hope to, a Super Bowl window is probably 3 seasons. If you can get 4 seasons out of a Super Bowl window, again, you're probably being carried by a quarterback and not a defensive end, even though you'd still need like a Chris Jones-esque figure there like the Chiefs have had. But still, you know, you'd still hope that, again, that 28 to 32 range could still be really be competitive. So, again, he might not necessarily want to, quote-unquote, risk this season with the Raiders. And, you know, again, it is a risk because Mendoza, we'll still have to see it. But I don't think that is terrible. Again, if the Cowboys are the other situation, Prescott, yeah, I mean, if you're asking me right now, because I do like, you know, because I tend to like Prescott maybe more than the average guy, then maybe as a quarterback, hey, yo, I don't know, pause it or not, but, you know, I tend to appreciate Prescott's quarterback skills more than the average guy. But I would still, I would take him over Mendoza right now, but I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked. Is that the list? Like, what's the list of guys we would not be shocked if Mendoza was better than? I don't know. I guess maybe I would maybe be a little shocked because maybe Prescott would take a step back at that point as well too. But I guess playoff Mendoza versus playoff Prescott, that's really what we're thinking of. And they did just franchise tag George Pickens. So that would be, I don't know what, you can trade a guy on the franchise tag, right? And I don't know, you know, Mark Davis, I think he would pay George, but Mark Davis seems like he'll pay a guy. So, you know, I think he would pay George Pickens. Screw it. Why not? And then if you could talk him into having Gene T, Brock Bowers, and George Pickens, let's see what the Raiders are working with here in the class, because we have, of course, promoted the idea of them drafting an Indiana receiver and kind of going, you know, Mendoza's gotten the Burrow comps, and he has had the benefit of being able to play with Chase. You know, for his career, I think it would definitely benefit Mendoza to do the same. So, hey, yo, I mean, the Raiders are stacked with it. The Raiders better make the playoffs this year. They got 136, 67, 102, 117, 134, 175, 182, and 185. Hey, yo. All of their picks, I guess, what was there, like 200, maybe like 244. So most of the picks are going to be in the top 200, but a lot of picks in the top, 135 for this year for sure. So shout out. They can maybe, I don't know if they can use a fourth or so to maybe combine. Can they work their way up in the draft somehow? But 36 is going to be pretty high. So you can maybe go from 67 into the high 50s. Where's Surratt going at in the tankathon right now? Oh, Marion Cooper. He is 35 right now on the mock. Shout out Gus Johnson. They definitely just need to have Gus Johnson just like have the drop ready for when he gets drafted, and then just have Gus Johnson saying his name. Are we allowed to pull that up and play that audio? I don't know. But Marion Cooper gets the foot down to the back of the end zone. Shout out. D'Angelo Pons going to Miami, just a couple of picks away from Indy. Oh, chat, that'd be painful if that happened in the draft. That's how you know it's going to happen, because we're pro Pons here on the pod, and it's always just in reach for Ballard, or Ballard's going to pass it. It's actually Ballard just passes on him. It's going to be Pons is just in reach, but Pons is going to go 53 instead of, instead of 43, he's going to go 53. It is what it is. But they have, where is Surratt at here? Maybe we didn't. 67. So they could, they do have him mocked to the Raiders. Yeah, at 67. So if they could potentially get him to start the third, that would be good. I don't know if he went to the combine, what he tested at, but you watch him catch contested balls. Pause. Again, I don't know if Mike Evans is probably a little bit too far on the high side, because Mike Evans was, 1,000, but they're, like we said before, like Mendoza's passing yards this year were a touchdown. Like their run game was better than the run game in LSU. And to be fair, the LSU pass game was just more dynamic. Like, Chase and Jefferson are just genuinely faster than Surratt and Omarion. I guess maybe we check Cooper's 40 time, but I would say they're probably just genuinely faster than Surratt. But he was, and who was the third guy that was making receptions there in the championship game? I forget his name, number 80. But yeah, Surratt's definitely a steal in the third round if he is able to make it there. Like, they got Malachi Fields from Notre Dame going 48. Like, shout out. I'm sure the testing is crazy. I'm sure Malachi Fields ran like a 4.34 40 or something crazy. 6'4", 6'4 and a half, 218. Like, again, you see the skill set, 5 touchdowns, 630 yards. And I think Notre Dame has good quarterback play, but again, they obviously didn't have Mendoza this year. And they were definitely led by their run game. I mean, they have their second running back going at the next pick in this mock. But I don't know if Fields is a better receiver than Surratt, just watching the game tape. Hey, Jeremy Bernard from Alabama, and I guess I'm just calling him out because of like the tall receiver comparison. If you're just like drafting a jump ball receiver, like Chris Bell from Louisville, I feel like he's been higher up in the draft before, so I don't know if there's some hidden skill set there. But yeah, Lee Hunter at 36. They could just take all Indiana guys, honestly. Just take Pons at 36, and then take Surratt at that third round pick, and then you have Pons and Crosby and Brock Bowers, and then or I guess you can't have Pickens and Crosby. I guess our trade was going to be Pickens for Crosby, but then I guess Surratt and Pickens is not a bad thing, right? And then you're free up to use your draft pick in other ways. But I do kind of think Surratt's just gonna be a good player in general. So, obviously at the end of the day, you just want good players in the draft. I think maybe taking him might be the move, but you could potentially, invest in a different spot on the field in the third round as well too. But, and yeah, we didn't even get to, that's what we were looking over here, looking at the Micah Parsons trade, seeing what that was. They got Kenny Clark, so that would be the George Pickens equivalent, I guess, of Kenny Clark that the Packers gave up. And then gave up, was it a first, a second, and Kenny Clark, or a first, a third, and Kenny Clark? They gave up a 2026 first, a 2027 first, and Kenny Clark. So would you give up, I guess, if you're the Cowboys, would you potentially give up, and obviously, the comedy of them trading for Max Crosby? I mean, I think we all kind of knew, though. I mean, Jerry Jones traded Micah Parsons because he was petty. And there was some injury history stuff there that I guess has not necessarily, you can't say it's been in favor of Jerry Jones, but, obviously it's prepped up for Parsons again this past year. But, obviously, I think that Jerry Jones still, we need defensive line help. I still know, not that I know how to build a football team, but it's like, we still know that we need defensive line help. But, yeah, we definitely made that move because we were secretly being petty. It is what it is. I think, I don't know if just the obviousness of pettiness these days, it just makes it, you just like exposes all those different moves. But on a football scale anyways, it was definitely, definitely showcased there. So, again, it's like, the comedy, would you rather have Micah Parsons or Max Crosby? That's close. Again, I still probably would say Micah Parsons. We do love Max Crosby. We tread lightly, but we do love Max Crosby. here on the Remington Pod. Shout out. I mean, he's just a menace. You know, he's one literally. He might be. It's tough to say that he's the number one. Like, you know, do you say go-getter football player? Like the number one effort football player out there? But he might be. I was going to compare him to Bridges, but he plays with a higher effort than I was going to compare like the consistency of the games played type of thing to Bridges. I don't know if we looked at his games plays, if that would necessarily be, but it's almost like, you know, if Marcus Smart was, you know, again, like the 6th best guard in the league. So I don't know, you know, who that comparison is there. Again, like Caruso as well too, because he literally is just like absolutely hustling everywhere on the football field. And even, not to say that, like, you know, Myles Garrett doesn't hustle every play, but you know, sometimes maybe sometimes just the ease at which Myles Garrett's just able to destroy the field. I don't know, but you know, again, Max Crosby's just really playing. He's just mashing the stamina bar. If we're making another, you know, video game comparison, just the entire time. So, but again, regardless, you know, you could definitely make the case that Micah Parsons, from the team building standpoint, is the smarter move. But I guess, you know, again, I would not be surprised if Jerry Jones was obviously like, yes, guess what? We need a pass rusher. It is what it is there. And also, you know, they lost DeMarcus Lawrence as well, too. Like, DeMarcus Lawrence is literally still one of the best pass rushers in the league. Just won a Super Bowl in Seattle. And, you know, not to overuse the word, but literally left Seattle because he said that he wanted to win a Super Bowl. He was like, I gotta get out. Like, Dallas is literally just cursed. It's like the Amityville horror house of, not the only one, I guess. You know, half the league seems to be cursed at this point. But, you know, the Cowboys are one of them. The Cowboys are cursed. They're never going to win a Super Bowl. DeMarcus Lawrence saw it, and he's like, hey, I got to get out of here, and immediately wins the Super Bowl the next year. So you just think the level of pass rushers that they've lost, again, not to their own discredit in some ways. But point being, the trade could happen, I guess. And, you know, Quinnen Williams is a good get as well, too. But, yeah, Quinnen Williams and Max Crosby is fun. And obviously, if you I could see that trade happening. And I just think even more so, if we could just start from, I guess, not to say start from a new square, not even to defend Jerry Jones, but just to say, like, from a basic football sort of standpoint, this is the type of trade that if Max Crosby, like, so I guess, requested a trade, then, you know, makes sense to get, I guess, in some ways, anything back for him. I mean, I'm not saying he's a free agent this year, I don't know, but I guess not, like, this immediate free agency. I don't think we have to double check that. Maybe he is. But regardless, a receiver for defensive end, like that type of upgrade is just a good value player upgrade. I'm gonna look up the free agency on a different tab so we don't slow the computer down. Hey yo, it is what it is. But what were we saying? Yeah, I think that would be the type of important position pause upgrade that you would want to make. And like we're saying for the Raiders, that would still, with bringing in a rookie quarterback, you can still manage to have that be a valuable asset to get back in return. Like we just saw, again, Pickens be a lead guy without CeeDee Lamb for a while. So you could, again, make the case that he could even, and you already have a number one in a sense with Brock Bowers. But from an actual receiver standpoint, you could make the case that way. So he's actually on an extension right now. So again, obviously, like you make the salary cap case and all that, but you're going to have Mendoza on a rookie? I don't know. I feel like you could trade Max Crosby at any point. If you have a player at that high of a level, I feel like just see what you have at some point. I would say trade, we've said this obviously in the past, but I would say trade Myles Garrett. It would make more sense for the Browns to trade Myles Garrett than it would for the Raiders to trade Max Crosby. And the Browns, you could maybe make that kind of divisional case as well too. Like, are you scared of the Steelers in the division right now? Are you scared of the Bengals in the division? Are you scared of the Ravens in the division at this point? Obviously, you're still respecting Lamar, but, and, obviously, like we say, we love Shador, but I don't know if you give Shador, the same for, we may take Dak over Mendoza. We're probably taking Mendoza over Shador. As much as we love Shador, if we have to start a franchise, if we have to win some football games, if that's actually the requirement, if I get hired as a GM and they say, okay, you actually have to go out there and win some football games, I'm like, you know what? I might take Mendoza as my quarterback. Then if that's what the contract says, then I guess it might have to be Mendoza. But If the contract says get players that wear rollies, we got him again. We got him again. We're on fire. But if it just said, hey, if Mark Davis hired us to run the Raiders and he just said, just bring in players that you enjoy, and like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If that's the case, then it's like, you know what? We'll bring in Shador. Why not? Screw it. But yeah, I would say that, again, for Garrett looking for, and that's, I think even a different level of trade. With all due respect to Max Crosby, there is just a historical weight to Garrett's game as well, too, that you do have to consider when you're trading. But if you're Dallas, honestly, could you, because you do have the 2 picks this year, that's not nothing. And 12 is pretty high up. Like, could you somehow talk Cleveland into 12, 20, and that 27 next year for Green Bay? Is 3 firsts too much for Myles Garrett at this point in his career? I don't know, but again, it's not 3 years worth of first-round picks. So, and it's really only 1 as well, too. If you're just saying that you're drafting Myles Garrett with your picks that year and then trading your future year's picks for that, like, I think that makes a ton of sense. So I think the Jets also have 2 first-round picks, but, the Jets aren't going to be... If Myles Garrett goes from the Browns to Jets, that's somehow the worse. I don't know how that would be worse, but that just somehow feels worse. Again, the Jets just, unfortunately, a stinky franchise at this point. Shout out to Aaron Glenn. I guess we really love... we're really, supporting the top of the draft this year. It is what it is. Shador, Aaron Glenn, Max Crosby, but, and I guess, we can't judge too harshly, but poor Aaron Glenn, doing his best to stay awake over there at the Combine. It is what it is. But, yeah, in terms of the multiple first-round picks, the Rams. Oh, chat. The Rams trading for Garrett would be crazy. The crazy move. The crazy move. And I actually would have to, I'm just going to throw this move out there. I'm not saying that I would do this move. We're pivoting away now from Max Crosby at this point. But, and Ayo, this was not a pre-written. I guess I wish I'd cooked this one up before. But this is a crazy, what teams are we looking for? Hey, I guess I haven't even said yet. But, well, I guess we did. We said the Rams and the Browns. But the trade that I just thought, the player I just thought of, the gutsy move I just thought of would be, would you potentially do Verse for Garrett? Ooh, that's a brutal trade. That's a brutal trade. Verse is one of the best contract values in the league. A rookie pass rusher, a pass rusher at his level on a rookie contract is incredible. And his ability to just kind of set the defensive line in general. Like he does do a good job of, holding down some of the run game stuff as well too. I mean, the defensive line in general for the Rams is, got some good depth of talent there. So, again, they just do a good job in both fronts a lot of times. But that's almost that NBA style trade where you're trading the younger superstar. Not necessarily a Luka for Davis, because I think Garrett right now, of course, is better than Davis is when he got traded for Luka. But that would be a crazy timeline bump up. I mean, the lineage of him stepping in for Aaron Donald at that point would be crazy. And they do have other, like we're saying, defensive line talent there as well too. So obviously you're sacrificing your most talented one in some ways in Jared Verse, but to bring in Myles Garrett, again, I'd really have to think about it. I don't even know what the NBA equivalent, that might be like a Giannis for Amen Thompson type of situation. I don't know. That's not a bad comp. That's not a bad comp. Where you look at the veteran and you're like, okay, I probably should trade for the veteran, or I guess, we could use our Spurs guy, like Castle. Like, is that a Castle for Giannis type of trade? Probably not, because as much as we love Giannis, if you're watching right now, I think Giannis was Giannis back and playing tonight. So I guess now, unfortunately, Giannis isn't able to watch the Rem Sam live stream while he plays. He's a big fan. But if he's watching this later, that we want you on our team. But would we trade Castle for? I mean, we know that you also want to play with Steph Castle, so we'll put it that way. It is what it is. But again, that's That's a brutal trade. Verse himself is like a top 10 rated pass rusher via, the PFF and obviously some of the other stats as well too. Oh, PFF did it, chat. Ayo, pause. They killed our webpage over here. We've lost the ability for the computer to keep up. Do we have to Control Alt Delete? I don't know. Maybe it's actually definitely this over the cap website. It is what it is. We might have to potentially we might have to do some investigating for another NFL trade machine. We'll do the best we can. But yeah, verse for Garrett would be a crazy Super Bowl move, and then you would have. Maybe could you argue you would have the best offensive and defensive player in the league? I mean, you could argue Stafford, especially without Mahomes, could be the best quarterback in the league, and then Puka could be the best receiver weapon in the league. And then, like we're saying, you bring in Myles Garrett, and maybe you would add the best defender in the league into the mix there as well too. Uh-oh, chat. Oh, here, let me see if I can just launch can we just launch a new page and see if we can work around it? Oh, I think we can. Okay, let's see if this actually works. Except for the fact that we don't know which website froze us, so we don't know which one to go back to. Okay, timeout, chat. Hey, yo. We'll have to get this resolved. I was pressing Control Alt Delete in the background, but I guess, I don't know, does the OBS shut that down? It'll pop up at some point eventually then, I guess, here in the future. It is what it is. I guess, just to remind us of what teams are in the league is not bad. But here, can we just X out and see? Okay, there we go. Hey, yo. Maybe we'll get it reset here and see if it loads again. Or maybe we shouldn't have lost our picture in the back as well too. Now I have to go into the files and find an NFL related image to have in the background. Oh no, chat. Are we down Wi-Fi? Is that the problem? No. The Wi-Fi is good. Oh, chat, this just the computer not being clutch. It is what it is. What do we have in the files for NFL images? Maybe I remember screenshotting some NBA fake trades a while back. I don't know if we're gonna have to throw one of those up. Hey, yo, we have like a Robin Givens boomerang poster in here. I'm not sure. I don't even know what file folder to go into. Save pictures. Do we have? Oh, that folder is empty. Okay, nope, not that one there. Screenshot 8/31/2024. I mean, is this even something that we can have up? I don't even know. Is something that's just gonna get exposed here? Screenshot. File isn't syncing. Oh, chat, this is a disaster. It is what it is. The entire. Oh, hopefully this isn't attached to something greater. Hey, yo, I guess the internet is still working for the games. Do we have to Google why is Microsoft not working? Why is my Microsoft computer not working? Hey, yo, I don't think that is going to solve our problems. But we may be down an image, and we may be down the internet. It is what it is there. So wait, one last attempt camera roll? I don't know. I guess if it's not syncing, it's not syncing. It is what it is. Screenshots. Okay, we have the images. We just don't have them loading up. So, ayo, IT, maybe if you could put your IT knowledge to the test for once and use it to figure out what's going on, then we can. Maybe we'll go to break, chat, real quick. We'll be right back. We gotta at least attempt to fix this real quick. Give us a second. Timeout. We gotta call timeout. Oh, you hate to see it, but we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We probably should have made the move to Chrome a long time ago, but hey, Microsoft Edge, we're calling you out. Probably call out Microsoft for a lot of reasons. Probably call out Chrome for a lot of reasons, but in terms of performance for the services, we got to give it to Chrome right now. The official Rem and Sam rankings, Chrome over Microsoft Edge. They've officially been benched, like the Cardinals cutting Kyler Murray. Chat, there we go. We brought it all the way. Commanders to release Marshawn Lattimore. Rem and Sam pod to cut Microsoft Edge. It is what it is. NFL salary cap 301.2 million dollars. The same amount as Jaylen Brown's contract. We got there, Chad. We got there. It is what it is. But anyways, speaking of the Cardinals cutting Kyler Murray, so what are our trades at this point? We've got George Pickens for Max Crosby. Seems kind of realistic. Maybe. We've got, I guess not just that, but some picks in there as well too. George Pickens. Is it the 12, the 20, and George Pickens for Max Crosby? That might be a lot. Maybe the 20 Pickens and a second. For Max, 2 seconds for Max Crosby. The 27 first. You protect the 27 first. Top 20 protected, or like top 20. No, wait, top 5. You want to protect. You want a lot of protections, I guess. You want a little protected if you're the Raiders. It's like a top 8 protected first round pick if you're the Raiders, and then the 20th pick, and then George Pickens, and then a third. I don't know, man. Something along those lines. But either way. We've got that. We've got Myles Garrett for Jared Verse, which feels like it should just be ripping through the headlines right now. That's a banger of a trade. But we've got... I feel like the Cardinals are going to be in the mix for trading this number 3 pick because, of course, once Mendoza's off the board, the quarterback class does look a little interesting for the first round. You get to the second round... If by any means Ty Simpson is still there, I feel like that would be the easy move. Yeah, that's where they have him mocked right now. Ty Simpson to Arizona. And then, I guess, third round, I don't know who we start looking at there. So, continuing to build that offensive line, I guess, would be, potentially a smart thing. But you do, of course, have an elite pass rusher up here in Bain, who I guess could be off the board, but also in Arvell Reese, elite linebacker as well too. I guess, I don't know if Caleb Downs would be viewed in that way, but even the offensive linemen themselves. I mean, and again, you get this offensive lineman this year. You have, Paris Johnson from the last couple of drafts, and then you have potentially, everybody's going to throw out Arch Manning as the name for next year, but you potentially get in the quarterback class. Whoever it may be, again, for next year. Like, that makes sense from a team-building standpoint, but you may also see a team get a little bit more desperate for one of these guys and maybe, again, move up. Would Cincinnati feel like at number 10, they need to jump up a couple spots, lock in that offensive lineman, give Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow needs protection, is the headline. What does that mean? It means offensive lineman. Hey, yo. So maybe they get aggressive there. They would never spend, but would they trade some first? Would they trade would you have to trade a future first to move up and get a guy? And I guess that does, of course, start to get a little risky as well, too. But, and maybe because it's not the quarterback, maybe it's not quite a future first, but that is definitely something to watch as well. It could definitely be, I don't know if Cleveland would need to jump up over these teams for some reason. It is, with Tennessee, New York, and at least Cleveland, like we're saying, running Shador, Washington, the Saints are going to probably run Shuck this next year, and then obviously Mahomes and Burrow for 9 and 10. Like, there's no need for those teams to jump up for the quarterback, which is, again, why you would need to even just jump up a couple of spots. But I could see a team, maybe Cincinnati's the one, get aggressive for offensive linemen. Or, again, speaking of the Rams, if the Rams aren't able to trade for Myles Garrett, could you get, 13 and 29 for number 13, 29, and a couple of other picks for number 3? I mean, hey, that'd be crazy if the Rams jumped up and then got Reuben Bain or Caleb Downs. Or something like that. They could trade back to 7 and then trade back again. But it kind of works out that Downs is going to be in Downs and Styles. Some of these guys really win in the combine. I think teams are going to want to sit and just see how the board plays out as well too. So maybe that doesn't quite manifest in the same way, but they're definitely going to be an interesting quarterback team this year because there's really not going to be a draft option for them in that first round. And I don't know if there's a veteran on the market for them to acquire as well too. Maybe they're a JJ McCarthy team. I don't know. Should that have been the trade? McCarthy for Kyler Murray? Hey, yo. There is contract implications there. And maybe Kyler Murray just signs with Minnesota, again, because of him getting waived. Like, the contract stuff can be a little bit different. I know it's not the buyout maybe in the same way that, like, I guess I don't know what he's guaranteed as well too. So, like, when Russ, of course, left Denver, he still got a large amount of that money. So he's able to take a little bit of a pay cut when he went to Pittsburgh. But maybe, maybe it happens a little bit of the same way there. I don't know. But, yeah, we'll have to see how, I guess, if is Kyler less coveted or more coveted than Russell Wilson leaving Denver? Hey, yo. That'd be tough for Kyler. It also speaks to state of the league as well, too. Teams sort of having their quarterbacks for a large part of it. But, yeah, of course, they're going to be a little bleak there for a while if they don't, get a second or third round option that they feel really good about in the draft. But for I guess Tua, they could trade for Tua. You're not trading for the contract, though, after you just release Kyler Murray. That would probably be a little bit too much. I mean, it would have to be like a crazy, like, why would the Ravens trade Lamar? They just kind of continued to invest by, switching up the coach there. I don't think that was a move to, like, reset the franchise. I think that's like, hey, let's see if we can maximize, these Lamar Jackson years here. Obviously, Cousins is going to be a name that people are going to float out there, but I don't know if that's going to be one that you're actually going to be wanting to, how much you're actually going to want to acquire Kirk Cousins, with all due respect. It is what it is. Bryce Young, you trade for Bryce Young? I don't know. People are going to throw out Anthony Richardson. I guess if you could trade for the quarterback, how good, are the quarterbacks if they are available. But, maybe Penix is available as well, too. You take a flyer on Penix. But, yeah, they're probably going to be in a waiting game for when their drafting opportunity pops up. But Buffalo as a trade team, they got Buffalo here signing Sam Franklin. I don't know why it feels like they could be a bit of a trade team. But, I don't know if anything jumps off the page in terms of major names. But we do also probably have to mention A.J. Brown as well, too, especially pre-draft when teams have their picks, because he does seem like a guy, if we were applying NBA rules to a subject, and I guess didn't Sirianni literally say, like, we don't know? There was one guy, one star player, where it was like, yeah, we'd love to have him back. I can't tell you if he will be back or not. It is what it is. So you, like, got the Jets right now drafting Denzel Boston at 16. Would you trade 6? I guess we're trading first-round picks for everybody like it's the NBA. I don't know if as good as A.J. Brown is. I mean, A.J. Brown, clearly a better receiver right now. And Denzel Boston is, asleep. He's going to be a good receiver. Shout out. But, I mean, A.J. Brown probably just right now still a better receiver. It is what it is there. Unless, the fall-off is real for A.J. Brown. Did J. Cole have anything to say about that? His new album, the A.J. Brown career. I don't know. But... yeah, it could be a second-round pick. They have 33 in the second round, so they also have the highest second. Maybe that maybe is a little too high for A.J. Brown. I don't know. Would it have to be outside the top 37? 44. Maybe it is that 44 seems a little bit too low. What does Philly have here? 54? Yeah, you might have to get something back at that point as well, too. And again, the Jets are going to be interesting if... again, it doesn't seem like with Dante Moore, nobody's going to talk themselves into anybody else going with that way. But they could also, I guess, be another Ty Simpson team as well, too. Or just see what Fields has with 1 year. Imagine A.J. Brown goes from Jalen Hurts to Justin Fields. Oh, man, he'd say, trade me back. It is what it is. But good times at Jalen Hurts. Shout out. But maybe the Ravens? The Ravens for AJ Brown, they're always one of the teams that gets brought up and like, hey, this receiver's available. Should they bring him in? And what did they get, like D-Hop that one year? It feels like they maybe take a swing on the wrong like free agent type of guy. But 14th overall, the Ravens do a good job of kind of waiting for best player available. But they've also maybe been kind of lucky that the drafts have tiered out in a certain way. Like the Kyle Hamilton draft, for example. Like, yes, he definitely slid a little bit because of positional value. But if I remember correctly, that draft, and we loved him in that draft as well too, but there was a tier thing where it's like he was that last guy maybe in that tier, and then because of the safety, he was taken. I don't know, but the Ravens are, like, it does seem like there is a tier here with the top 9, I would say. Mendoza, Bain, Francis from Miami, Arvell Reese, Spencer Fano, Carnell Tate, Caleb Downs, Styles, and then David Bailey. Maybe Mansour Delane as well, too, the corner. Might have to put in that tier. I mean, again, Jeremiah Love as well, too. We saw his athlete score from the combine, so shout out. Again, this is the mock, not the player ranking. But, so maybe the top 12 for the tier of guys. Love kind of being at the borderline there. So, again, the Ravens do seem like they are outside the tier 1 of draft prospects for this year at the 14th pick. So, to get A.J. Brown, I feel like would be better than the tier 2 draft prospects. With all due respect, I guess you're not going to take to be needed as well too. And again, they always do seem to find good draft value, but that would be interesting. They do have 45 in the draft. The Saints have 42. The Bengals have 41. The Chiefs have 40. The Texans have 38. And I guess they've just been active with the trades as well too. They've already brought in Montgomery. I know they made another trade, but maybe it wasn't even major. And the Montgomery trade is a nice little move as well too. Like, he can obviously be a starting running back. So they just need a starting running back. I mean, they didn't really have any run game last year. And I'm trying to think 2 years ago who they had, but was it Pierce? Was it Pierce 2 years ago? That was the main guy. See, if I don't remember, that what does that say? But that's legit. He was like Montgomery, maybe like 700 yards last year, but it did feel like it was because, it was just time for Gibbs to take over at some point with the way he was playing. But yeah, Montgomery, I think, can still definitely be one of the better above average running backs in the league. But 29 might be a little too much. Trade him back to Tennessee for 35, or the Giants at 37 for A.J. Brown would be interesting. They do need the offensive line help. Do they have 2 offensive line picks? They do. That's actually what they need to do. And then Jackson Dart and Scattaboo, keep him protected back there. Pause. Fano at 5 does seem good. I mean, I guess you could take like Tate or something as well too if you really, really want the receiver. The Browns, I guess the Browns, we said they should trade away Myles Garrett, but maybe trade for A.J. Brown if you don't trade away Myles Garrett. Then you have Shador, A.J. Brown, and Myles Garrett, the big 3. That's the Bleacher Report graphic right there. A.J. Brown gets traded to Cleveland, and it's him and Shador next to each other. I guess it would have to be because Shador's the quarterback. That'd be the connection. But once again, that would be an interesting, situation, upgrade, lateral move, downgrade for A.J. Brown. But the Lions at 7, I guess the Lions have receivers, but that could be another player for player trade. Would you potentially do like a Jameson? Would you do Jameson Williams for A.J. Brown? I mean, his skill set is so unique in the league. I mean, both of them are, but Jameson Williams just pure speed, and it does complement Amon-Ra very, very well, where A.J. Brown could definitely still win a lot of down the field plays. And maybe you would say that A.J. Brown's ability to just be an overall number 1 would be better. I mean, there's no way you're worse by having A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra. But having that James Williams dynamic, and you can run a lot of the jet sweep stuff for A.J. Brown as well, too. Again, he's such a dynamic ball carrier, pause. But a great jump ball guy down the field as well, too. I don't know. That's a tough one. That is I'm leaning more toward Jameson Williams. Like, we were leaning more toward Myles Garrett, honestly. As much as I love Verse, like, I think you might have to make the trade for Myles Garrett if that's available. But as much as I love A.J. Brown, I think you might have to keep Jameson Williams. But I don't know. That's a close one. That'd be an interesting would you rather right there. Do we have to do receiving yard check for 2025? Oh, profootball.com. Ayo. That's not right. We need to actually get to the right website here. We don't have our quick links ready to go like we have in the past, but here we go. Pro Football Reference. We'll be back. We'll get all the tabs back up and going, and then pretty soon we'll have Chrome shut down as well too. You know, we got to make sure that every browser, verify, here we go. Every browser gets slowed down by a million tabs. But yeah, receiving yards. If you had to trade A.J. Brown, I guess, for a receiver, NBA style. Wan'Dale Robinson, I guess if they bring the Giants back into it, Wan'Dale Robinson for A.J. Brown. There would be that, maybe Howie Roseman, he would have his eye on somebody at that level. Chris Olave, the Saints. Is it a second-round pick and a player? Olave and a second-round pick for A.J. Brown? I don't know about that. Yeah, Pickens third in receiving yards last year. So, yeah, Pickens for Max Crosby. Maybe not too crazy. McBride, Zay Flowers, just straight up Zay Flowers for A.J. Brown, something along those lines. Pro Bowler Zay Flowers. I don't think I would do Nico Collins for A.J. Brown. I equally am biased toward both of those players, but I don't know skill set, vibe, fit, connection, connection with the quarterbacks. I think it's all, pretty much the same it would be with A.J. Brown as it is with Nico Collins. Maybe you make a health case. But Jameson Williams was 10th last year in receiving yards at 11-17, 7 touchdowns. Again, 17 games played. A.J. Brown, 15 games played, 1,003 yards and 7 touchdowns as well. So same amount of touchdowns in fewer games. If we go yards per game for A.J. Brown versus Jameson Williams, we would have A.J. Brown at 15, Jameson Williams at 17. So, yeah, it's right there. It's right there. And Tyreek Hill, the only guy in between them, got released. So he might not even count 4 games played. I'm not even sure at this point. So would you just straight up, flip these guys on the roster? I mean, Alec Pierce for A.J. Brown, with all due respect to Alec Pierce, I mean, you could say that just because he's younger, but I think you might have to make that move. So, Zayfa, Rashee Rice. Ooh, Rashee Rice would be an interesting one, where that is, I feel like, a receiver at the production level where you could trade him. That's just enough to not have to trade too many picks, if that makes sense. Because Rashee Rice was a second-round pick. It's not like he was a first-round receiver. So in terms of the draft investment that was made originally, they don't have to get a ton back, or they don't have to have all those seasons where they just give up or whatever, shift their mindset. But again, he can be very, very productive as well too. So you could potentially do, again, I know the player to picks. I'm throwing every is the same picks combo. I'm just, is it Rashee Rice in a second, or so or because maybe you might have to throw for. Well, I guess if you have to throw a first in anyways for A.J. Brown, then you probably don't have to do one with Rashee Rice. But Rashee Rice in a second does seem like it is starting to get there. If it is going to be an actual receiver move, Cortland Sutton for A.J. Brown. The Broncos trading for A.J. Brown. Whoa. Our neighbor really wants us to up the tight end spot over there. Number one Broncos fan, shout out. But if you could get A.J. Brown, I'm sure he wouldn't be too bummed out. And there was a little bit, as much as Cortland Sutton was great, Cortland Sutton does kind of need the quarterback versus, so does A.J. Brown. But in theory, he, again, also doesn't. So maybe, Jameson Williams would actually be great. He'd be great for anybody, but would be great for the Broncos. They really relied on R.J. Harvey to, create yards after, just create stuff for him at some point. Tet McMillan, is Howie Roseman going to buy low on Tet McMillan? I don't know, but Tet McMillan for A.J. Brown would be interesting. Michael Wilson, we might start to be getting a different tier at that point. But 59 yards a game for Mike Wilson, not bad. Terry McLaurin at 58 might start to be, again, a different tier. Jalen Waddle, Brock Bowers at tight end as well, too. Mbuka at 55. You're probably not doing that if you're Tampa, though. Adunze, if you're Chicago, and that would really challenge Howie Roseman. Like, would he want to play A.J. Brown as well, too? Ooh, A.J. Brown to Chicago. Something about that feels like that type of move that Chicago make. They have talked, I did see something about Tremaine Edmonds generating trade buzz. Would that be the trade? Would that be a 1-for-1? Tremaine Edmonds for A.J. Brown? What's Tremaine Edmonds' PFF grade? Does that determine his trade value? I don't know. But if it's close enough to what A.J. Brown's might be, then they might not have to give up too many picks in the deal. I mean, linebacker for receiver. I mean, receiver definitely gets paid more, but I feel like in the trade market, depending on how you're building your team and, you know, what you have on the roster and all that, you can talk yourself into that being some equal value. 35th rated linebacker, 66 on the PFF grade. I would assume the best version of A.J. Brown would still be better than that, but I still think the best version of Tremaine Edmonds is better than that as well, too. But A.J. Brown, yeah, 80.9 player grade right now. 15th best receiver in the league. And again, a down year for A.J. Brown, according to some. But, yeah, I don't think a Dunze would be interesting. What was a Dunze's rating, I guess, this year? Just to double check what's been going on. Burden and, yeah, Loveland, I was going to say, have definitely emerged as the weapons. But 46th receiver, 70.3 for a Dunze on the grade. What do they have Burden graded out here? 76.7, a little bit higher. And then DJ Moore, 67.8, kind of in the middle there, 58th graded receiver. So you would, of course, have Burden still as your slot guy, but you're basically just supercharging your outside receiver. And that would be a pure vibes trade if you're Philly. But then again, you're getting kind of the similar rollback, maybe that extra pick as well, too. If you're Chicago, you're just continuing to push your chips into the middle of the table. You have your offensive line kind of set. You could continue to build the defense, but you're not giving up a first in this scenario. So, yeah, Akeem Mesidor from Miami, hey, that would be almost a great pick for him right there as well, too. Same with this. There's some good players in this range for Chicago if they're trying to upgrade the defense. That's for sure. Proctor at 24 for Cleveland. I don't know. But, yeah, they might be an interesting team. Something about that just seems like it could be a right move. So yeah, I don't know. You're probably not going to get Jalen Brisker. You get Brisker for AJ Brown. That's probably the other version of the trade. Brisker in 2 seconds and a third for AJ Brown. Brisker in a sixth and a fourth for 2/3 and a second, and AJ Brown and another player. And it's like, okay, I don't know what all these pieces mean, but I do kind of like some of the moves that are being made there. But yeah, we'd have to see if, again, Howie Roseman would be willing to risk sending A.J. Brown to a team in the conference. The Chargers maybe is another team that he would, I don't know, consider potentially. But yeah, we will, again, have to keep an eye on the NFL trade market here as we approach the offseason, as the draft gets closer, as the free agency moves actually get made as well, too. And we'll be able to determine what the teams actually end up needing. But, yeah, and like we said, the drafting as well, too. As we even just look at the board and get a little bit familiar with the board there and see everything that is going on, we will continue to lock in. But here, we can look at it. Speaking of the boards, we can look at the NBA board for the night and see what happened. Just casually go check the score of the Spurs game. 131-91. No big deal. Just a 40-point win against against Philly. Hey, yeah, we got highlights going on in the background over here. Shout out to Aunt Edwards, but we'll have to throw those on the mute for right now. Vassell leading the team in scoring. When was the last time Vassell led the team in scoring? A very balanced game, 22 points. So, again, the scoring was definitely evenly spread. Pause. 7 for 10. You love to see it. But just to see his name, I mean, that just gave me like flashbacks to again, the rebuild. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Champagny, 10, efficient 10. Wemby, 10, 3 for 5, 10, 8, and 4. 3 turnovers. The assist to turnover ratio the last couple of games been a little off. Plus 41 though from the field. Vassell plus 43. Castle plus 39. 6 for 10. What was the field goal percentage? I guess 55%. But from the starters, hey yo, I mean we were obviously, but yeah, they were going crazy with efficiency in this game. Let's see what we've got here. 42 attempts for the starters on. We should probably be able to do the math a little bit quicker. Ayo, I'm trying to combine numbers. Yeah, I mean that's what math is, ayo. But obviously, if it's not on the calculator, then it's not going to be correct. So if we can get this in time to remember the other number, 64% from the field for the Spurs starters. You love to see it. And I guess Castle dragging the percentages down with the 2 3-point misses. Hey, yo, he better get in the gym. 500 makes before he leaves. But Olynyk, we're still getting the minutes over Plumlee, I guess. I don't know, do we waive Plumlee already? I'm not sure. But Carter Bryant, 26 minutes plus 22. You love to see his plus minus jumping out over the rest of the lineup. Luke Cornett playing 12 minutes. Do we have to read Luke Cornett's statement on Magic City night for Atlanta? I don't know if our guy Luke Cornett was a fan. Let's say that. That's for sure. I mean, I guess in some ways, you hope it's in good, from a good place. But NBA World split by Luke Cornett's comments on Hawks collab with Strip Club. Is the NBA World split? Is that a little double entendre there? I'm not sure. But can we get the statement by Luke Cornett? Or are we just gonna get reactions? Let's see what he actually said. Writing in a blog post. Okay, is this a link to it? Concerning the Atlanta Hawks, here we go. Our guy Luke Cornett putting pen to paper. 2-minute read one day ago. This week, Atlanta Hawks announced a special one-night collaboration to celebrate the city's iconic cultural institution, Magic City, during the team's home game against the Orlando on Monday, March 16th. In its press release, the Hawks failed to acknowledge that this place is, as the business itself boasts, Atlanta's premier strip club. Given this fact, I would like to respectfully ask that the Atlanta Hawks cancel this promotional night with Magic City. The NBA should desire to protect and esteem women, many of whom work diligently every day to make this the best basketball league in the world. I mean, it doesn't seem like Luke Cornett is really that concerned about the women that work every day, because if he was, he would be a little more respectful about Magic City. But we should promote an atmosphere that is protective and respectful of daughters, wives, sisters, mothers, and partners that we know and love. I mean, Magic City is literally like, I guess I was going to say the number one business in Atlanta. I mean, I guess I can't speak to all the stories that happen over there. But again, it's, how did Atlanta put it? One night with a iconic cultural institution. I thought I saw the word esteemed in here at some point as well, too. But allowing this night to go forward without protest would reflect poorly on us as an NBA community, specifically in being complicit in this potential objectification and mistreatment of women in our society. Regardless of how women finds her way into adult entertainment industry, many in this space experience abuse, harassment, violence, which they should never be subjected to. And that, anybody obviously in any walk of life experiencing abuse and harassment and violence is, and obviously, your mind goes to so many places at this time, but obviously that's just uncalled for in any walk of life. But if you can, is the word, protected, I guess Luke Cornett was saying esteem. over here. But I mean, I feel like Magic City is like the pinnacle. It's like the NBA of local businesses in in that lane. So I feel like we honestly need to take Luke Cornett. I feel like the Rem and Sam pod needs to take Luke Cornett to Magic City and just be like, have you seen the business that goes on here? Like, do you care about supporting local businesses? Do you care about entrepreneurship and hustle? Because if you did, you would appreciate what goes on at Magic City. I guess it is what it is, and you would understand why Atlanta is paying homage to a iconic cultural institution. I mean, these NBA teams would honestly they wouldn't pay homage to something that doesn't matter, right? Hey yo, I mean, obviously Magic City is it's not like every strip club is getting a night over here. Like it's Magic City has earned this night. It is what it is. Shout out. Even I guess Vegas doesn't have a team, but as Vegas, I guess I don't know, but yeah, it is what it is. But like, LA hasn't had, and you can't even think of the clubs. You can't even think of the. I know that there are iconic club names. It shows you we're not locked in with the scene. That if we just think of a city, we can't summon the club names. We were looking at clubs in Cleveland when James Harden got traded because we were doing some research for him. I think some of the ones we looked at were actually shut down, but we could go back and check that list. But literally, if you think of literally Magic City is the one that you think of. So again, whatever club it would be in LA would just be the Magic City of LA. It would just be, the Magic City. Well, what's the Magic City of New York? What's the Magic City of Philadelphia? Hey, yo. And all these sound a little bit more depressing in all the other cities as well. City of Philly. Like I'm good. I'm good, Chad. I'm good. I might go to a different city. It is what it is. I don't know what other cities, you'd want to go to. I don't know. The Magic City of New York and LA are gonna be fine. It is what it is. The Magic City of Nashville is probably gonna be okay. Maybe franchising. After we take Luke Cornett, he's gonna start franchising. It is what it is. Like, actually, this is a great opportunity over here. I didn't realize it. They just throw money on the stage. Like, what's happening? But hey, yo, like, should I write a blog post about how much of a waste these NBA contracts are, or what? Do we just let them enjoy their contracts? Do we just admit the fact that that's the market for the NBA? And guess what? Do we pull up Luke Cornett's salary and say, I'm sure that we could, there are blog posts to be written. There are ways to get outraged, but, or you can choose to appreciate and celebrate. It is what it is. So I guess, the Atlanta Hawks choose to appreciate and celebrate. The Rem and Sam pod chooses to stand with the Atlanta Hawks in this matter. It is what it is. I guess I can't make a stance for, everybody on the pod, but the Rem and Sam, the Rem and Sam pod, the IT guys that were hired by Rem, we all stand behind Atlanta Hawks and Magic City at this time. It is what it is. And if you don't think that we're gonna do our best to try to get ourselves an Atlanta Hawks Magic City T-shirt, it is what it is. Let's see what we can find here. I'm sure there's a custom one made up, but if we can get like a game, because they're gonna have, oh, here we go, the Hawks shop. I didn't even think about it. I was just gonna say they have to have the shirts that are on like the seats for the night. I'm assuming this is shirts on seat type of night, right? Like a playoff game, or is that just lower bowl? This collection is empty. What are we doing? We need some design. I mean, this logo alone, right here. I mean, well, maybe not the image, it's stock image on the hoodie. I don't know, but a kind of, and they have like had they've leaned into the rose gold at some point, but yeah, like a rose gold Atlanta Hawks. So I guess I'm not really into rocking other teams' logos, but we would rep the local businesses of Atlanta. We do, like to uplift. It is what it is there. So yeah, unfortunately we can't support with the Magic City collection, but maybe soon. What do we got here? Hawks. Let's go Hawks. No, just like retro throwback Hawks stuff. See, yeah, now I don't want to start searching Hawks merch as well, unless it's Dominique, like we said in the past. Can we get a Dominique Wilkins Atlanta Hawks? Is Dominique Wilkins going to be on the call for the Atlanta Hawks Magic City night? I don't know, but yeah, we maybe get a Dominique Wilkins jersey, and then get a Magic City T-shirt is probably the order of operations. Oh, Chad, I mean, hey, yo, what do you do? It's beautiful. It is what it is. You want to talk about beautiful things in Atlanta? Besides Magic City, this Dominique Wilkins jersey is right up there. I mean, well, I mean, the things we could think of about Magic City in this Dominique Wilkins jersey. But I guess they'll just stay in our imagination for now. It is what it is. Or maybe we take Luke Cornett and then we go off and find I don't know, somebody in a Dominique Wilkins. I guess if there was a performer that had a Dominique Wilkins jersey as part of their, obviously, I don't want to get too conflicted, but jerseys are cool. It is what it is. So what else is cool? Waiting a jersey. It is what it is. So, jersey night, and that's the only way this is right. If Magic City does, jersey night, but obviously, with a Magic City twist, it is what it is. I think you literally just Magic City twist the jerseys, and then, now you're dressed appropriately. But, hey, yeah, or not at all. But what do we do in chat? We've been pulled off of the YouTube a long time ago. It is what it is. We should just stick to shopping to Dominique Wilkins jerseys. Or I don't know. Shout out, shout out to Luke Court. I don't know who we shout out. But again, I just love the fact that he's like, I have to write a blog post about this. This is unacceptable. It is what it is. Where did he write this on Medium? Has he written anything before? Is this just like his first blog post? A day in the life of Bus One Boy. There are 18 spots on a player roster unless the coach name rhymes with Schmur. Hey, okay. So Luke Cornett's kind of funny. Hey, there we go. Schmur is pretty funny. But big Mike Vrabel guy. Okay, Luke Cornett's got a blog. Hey, yo, what's going on in the Luke Cornett blog? Don't pass the rock. Back in the saddle. Luke's declassified Spurs survival guide. Hatchet, but for NBA players, the problem persists on our voids. Seemingly increasingly. Okay, chat. Hey, we can't read it. The problem persists, and our voids seems increasingly destined for failure. Morale hangs by a thread, and rations are low. So this is like the Andrew Luck letters from back in the day. Most notably, the water pipe is freezing, meaning no coffee and therefore no caffeine. The elixir of hope. Withdrawal headaches have led to infighting, and I'm concerned factions are beginning to form. So fragile the human condition at first sight. Oh, chat, this is a joke. I wonder if he was joking. Do we have to go to like Luke Cornett's Twitter or something and see if he was posting on there and like actually serious about this? Was it satire? Is Luke Cornett satire? Do we have to go to his Instagram? If Luke Cornett's Instagram says like NBA player, husband, if it's got a couple different descriptions like that, maybe he's not verified. Oh, wait a second. He doesn't have Instagram, I don't think. So that might be a clue that maybe he is serious. I don't know. Oh, Al Horford, also not a fan, chat. Also not a fan of Magic City Night. I don't know if this is real, but I just searched Luke Cornett on the gram, and apparently Al Horford retweeted it and said, "Well said." So, we don't mean to continue to divide the NBA community. What did the comments say? Love the grandstanding, but won't speak up for WNBA and their pay. I mean, they'll get called out. It is what it is. The NBA has a sponsorship with Hennessy. Be real. That's somebody just said. We're just reading comments. That's just what somebody said. It is what it is. Well, I guess we can't read all of these. But Magic City would exist in all women. It said this person just said Magic City would exist in an all women ran society. I mean, that's a complicated topic. I guess that we're probably not educated to address, but it's a different thought to add to the conversation. And this person just posted a meme of Denzel slamming the door on the guy, which is the perfect way to, I think, maybe just wrap up the conversation there. It is what it is. So hopefully for Al Horford's sake, Luke Cornett was not, making satire here with the Atlanta Hawks. 245 claps. Whoa, speaking of Magic City, he gets claps on each of his posts. Hey, yo. So 245 claps for Luke Cornett concerning the Atlanta Hawks, I guess, is a record. Back to Don't Pass the Rock, 132 claps. As well too. And Don't Pass the Rock, the Catholic churches of the 22-23 season. I'm a lifelong Catholic, professional basketball, and aspiring baker. So, ayo, chat, I was going to say we love the Catholics. Obviously, we tread lightly as we say that. We love people on the Rem and Sam pod. So there are people that are Catholics that we love. Ayo. But, shout out. The clues are starting to happen together. I don't think he was joking. What is this? Catholicism, Big East John Stockton, Saint Honor Mardi Gras legal issues. What is this Venn diagram? Perhaps Vin Baker is Catholic, in which case this is titled the Venn diagram. Okay, so maybe we should not start from the end. Pause. Speaking of Magic City, my name is Luke Cornett. I'm a lifelong Catholic professional basketball player and aspiring baker. For the sake of this blog series, only the first of two identifiers will be pertinent, though. If this really takes off, I will be sending cookies to devout readers. Incentivize desired behavior. Now you may be sitting there thinking, Luke Francis, what audience do you think you're trying to reach? The Catholic basketball intersection of the Venn diagram is already supplied via the schools of the Old Big East and John Stockton. Oh, okay. So I guess. I like basketball and baking. Like we said, we do, there's a couple of Catholic girls in the present. Okay, chat, we're going to get canceled. It is what it is. But, I guess, like I said, shout out. We've already made our stance clear. Shout out to Atlanta. So if Luke Cornett wants to call it, do you think we could get Luke Cornett to defend the case, chat? Stay tuned. We'll be doing some work. We got some exciting things upcoming the Rem and Sam pod. We're going to try to be, if you were here for the last live stream, you know that we're going to be trying to acquire the rights for Bloodsport 6. So the Bloodsport franchise will hopefully soon be in the hands of the Rem and Sam pod. And obviously, like we said, now we will be hoping to get Luke Cornett on to debate whether or not Magic City Night is a good idea in the city of Atlanta for the Atlanta Hawks. But I guess in the middle of the NBA season, will he jump on and defend it? I don't know. But we will be back. Testing 1 2 3. There we are. We are back. Okay, we'll be back Friday night with maybe Luke Cornett. Who knows? But we'll be back Friday, hanging out, having a good time. I'm sure there'll be NBA on in the background as well, so you don't want to miss it. Like I said, Friday night, be here. Sunday, Tuesday, Friday is the schedule here on the YouTube. Of course, follow the podcast feeds. Send us a little message on the Instagram and tell Luke Cornett to call in and defend himself. And also talk about the Spurs and Wemby. So shout out. We'll check a lot of boxes there. But we'll be back, like I said, in a couple days. Enjoy the time, and we'll see y'all later.